comply with recent General Assembly statutory changes, possible action to approve recommended text, and secondly, working session addressing necessary text revisions to comply with recent General Assembly statutory changes, possible action to approve recommended text. So we have this meeting tonight, and we have Thursday scheduled, which are both of you guys here. Okay?
Necessary for
What I see on my plate or radar is that, and this is in no particular order, I just want to lay them out. We went through the first three sections, the zoning ordinance, the discretionary changes to all the dimensional regulations, and the affordable housing, and we made minor clarification of points. I believe Jill sent those to us today via email.
I did.
And then I believe, tell me which package they're in.
the blue one.
The blue one? The
They're
one-
in,
Yeah.
yeah, the one that says working
Okay.
document across the front of it.
So this one, what I would ask is that the board just take a look at this before Thursday, make sure that they were done, and then we can take a vote on those on Thursday. No?
Looks like
Mr. Chairman,
doubt.
I would ask that the board, sorry, Dr. Neal, go ahead.
No, looks like a little doubt here. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So if I may just describe to you what the document is. So at the last meeting, you went through the special use permits, you determined you wanted to delete some, you wanted to change,
Correct.
you wanted to change some. So those changes are incorporated, and there were a couple of other things that we needed to add in, which we did. We added in new definitions and we referred to other changes. The bulk of what you should be reviewing and potentially commenting on is that one of the requirements for the mandated changes was the requirement for specific and objective criteria for a special use permit category.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't lay it out in the right order, because that's still something we have to go through.
Yes, and it's
But-
all within
but-
one document.
Okay, so I stand corrected, but the table of affirming or deleting the S, if you will, we did.
You did. There are a couple of open-ended ones like use
Well,
code
let's take care of them
60.
tonight then.
Okay.
So we can do that, and then the board will also read the special use criteria that you and others have developed, and we'll see what we can do with that on Thursday as well. But the actual items that we did, that we actually covered in the first meeting, we ought to be able to confirm with the minor changes that were made. This one's deleted, this one's added, whatever,
Yes, you mean for Thursday.
for Thursday.
Correct.
Okay, and then we'll spend time on that. The next thing we have to do is the subdivision ordinance, which we started last time, which we got through 22 pages of the 46
Yeah.
in pretty clean shape
Yeah.
with some changes, and then there's obviously more to do. And then the last thing, which I should have said right at the bat, the last thing is all the special use criteria.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Which is incorporated in this, but which you can either tonight or Thursday review and show us examples or show us where,
Yes.
the ones that you guys have developed.
Yes.
Okay. So I think what I'd like to do, and I don't know how you guys want to handle it, but I think we go back to the subdivision at this point, pick up from where we left off, and see what else has been added. You sent us material.
I've got a whole new document for you,
Is that this?
yeah. And I can go through, I'm gonna go through it from page 1 though, because I did add some changes between page 1 and 22. I won't go through it. all
Well,
22 pages.
don't go through anything you didn't change.
Yeah, okay.
Just blow through
All right,
on that.
before
Okay.
we jump into that,
Yep.
I believe Jill did have some changes in this. Do you want to go through the changes that were added to this?
I thought that they were just incorporate. Oh, did you have changes that we didn't decide on?
Is there anything in there that we need to?
To the zoning ordinances or the discretionary or the affordable housing?
To the zoning ordinance, yes, there are additional changes
that we didn't
that
bless?
that we did not discuss, correct?
Okay, do you want to do those first? Or not?
No, we
When
can do it after.
After we do the subdivision?
Mm-hmm. Some of them are definitional changes we added in group homes and orphanages, some of them where we had standards in play, especially as criteria
All right,
standards, what we
well-
need to change. Well, I think we could do it after, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
okay. So I just, again, want to keep focused on the 5 components so we can keep it manageable to some degree. To some degree. So, Mike, if you can, on the subdivision, just show us whatever you amended only in the first 22 pages and then jump off to what after that.
Okey doke. And I want to warn you also, there's, we have to hand those out. Those are the special revisions to comp permits, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Let me find,
And we have a quorum, but we have a reduced board, so that should be good. Right, guys?
all right, so, I'm gonna scroll. I'm just gonna scroll and I'll stop and let you know when something new is
Yep.
coming along.
And let us know what page, right?
Okay, yep, so that's
That was
just,
up before.
yeah, the underlined language is just clarification because I
Yep.
forgot to add in
You did
unified
that.
and
You
development.
did that
plan
last
review.
time.
That's just an update.
Yep.
As far as subdivision definitions go, I don't think I've changed anything there because I don't think I needed to. So
Okay.
I think we scroll right by oral definitions. That brings us to, I'll let you know when I get to the end of it. Page, still going. Yep, that's still fine. Okay, so we're on page 14, general requirement. I don't believe this was in there, this classification component. I think I left that out. It's pretty straightforward, classification of different types of subdivisions and land development projects, and I put in development plan review, as you can see. This red lettering here is, it's a cross-reference to all the different sections where we do certification of completeness. So that's housekeeping. That's all the same. These are all reminders to me, as I mentioned to you before. This little section here, Jill is going to help me clean up this. This has to do with areas that are land unsuitable for development, and part of it is areas within high flood danger zone. We don't use this term anymore, so we're going to change it.
Rupert, question.
So I have a question, Mike. So in the, I don't know, like C, and I'm looking at the old page 18, land unsuitable for development.
Okay.
It doesn't include language about the infrastructure, and yet later on it does include language for infrastructure.
Yeah, the area for infrastructure is not considered land unsuitable for development. It's
Okay.
land that is subtracted before you do your density calculation.
Okay, cool.
Okay, all of this remains the same?
And so I had one more question about that.
Yeah.
So coastal and freshwater wetlands except area of wetland buffer located outside the flagged edge.
Yeah, we don't subtract anything but the wetland proper.
The wetland itself, so not
Yeah.
the buffer doesn't get subtracted
In
from the
previous,
area.
as you recall, the previous regulations used to say perimeter wetland instead of buffer. And we even in the regulations, I've already made the change there. It used to say
So-
excluding the perimeter wetland.
So it doesn't, we don't have the option then, it's,
Well, we do, but I think it would be pretty hard to defend.
okay.
Because if it's not wetland and it's upland, right? Even if it's in the buffer?
But it's not supposed to be developed in the buffer, right?
But I'm asking you a definitional question.
Yeah.
If it's not wetland, is it upland? If it's upland, then should it be counted for definition, for the determination of density? I know that some other communities actually used to subtract the 50 foot. And I think it's a very questionable
Okay.
position to take.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Steve,
Steve would have any input on that.
No, I mean, I think I agree with Mike on that.
Okay.
Even though it's within the buffer, it's still considered, I mean, you can't build on it, but it would still be considered upland. Calculation purposes.
for a developable land, okay.
So here we are on page 22, Mr. Chairman. We started with special requirements. This is all in the ordinance today, anything that's in black. Remember that we changed the approach to, so that cluster would be the required layout as opposed to the optional. That's what all that yellow is right
Right.
there.
Right.
So Mike, on that one, just a typo.
Oh, yeah?
I think right before the when is struck out, I think it should, the only should also be struck out, so that
When
by the
what?
planning board, unless a subscriber,
Oh, take out only?
right?
Strike that word?
Seems to me, yeah.
Okay.
Ought to be,
Let me, I'll do it on my hand.
And then,
Hard
and then
copy
the,
here.
and then the
Yeah.
next one,
Got it.
I think you got the other one underneath, the other, so the word such in front of conventional development,
How many lines?
the third line down, meaning that, I think that's just a delete word.
Okay, I don't remember doing that. Very easy.
Unnecessary.
Okay, so we're moving through, this is all the cluster development stuff, and like I said, almost none of it's being changed. This is something that I forgot to add into the hard copy you had before.
So, sorry to add one more.
Alright.
So there's no cluster for subdivisions of less than 10 lots then? Is that-
Right,
Okay. Is
that's
that,
a requirement. Well, remember, it used to be 5 lots, right?
right, 10
Um,
lot, that's why I'm thinking 10 lots a lot more.
so that's the requirement by the new law?
No, it's not an estate.
no, that's,
Or-
we could actually change that if you wanted.
So if you have a
Um,
10 lot subdivision, I'm thinking like Clark Road, if you had a 10 lot subdivision someplace like that,
Right, so
requiring
here's
cluster would be good.
here's where it says required for all major subdivisions, that's 10 or more. It used to be 6 or more. And Clark Road was a 5 lot subdivision.
Because isn't the provision that the developer can come in under the required cluster and justify that they want a traditional one,
Yeah.
and then we could approve it? So
Yeah.
why would we bump it up to 10?
So I could take the word major out, or put major and minor, can't do it for administrative, obviously.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, I'll add in the word minor
Yeah,
and.
Joe?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
And then my other question about this, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. So how does the cluster development requirement interface with inclusionary zoning and comp planning? And maybe with inclusionary zoning, as your discussion earlier tonight, maybe we just don't think about that, but.
Actually, a cluster would be a great idea for a comp permit if we,
Right.
had the right piece of land.
Right.
Because if they're saying, look, we can show you a conventional layout of 20 lots on this lot, this parcel that might only be zoned for 10, but we can fit them in where they're not impacting the wetland. Let's put these 20 lots off in the corner, we'll have some upland set aside as well as the wetland.
So would this apply in a comp permit?
Can we require it?
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, the comp permit has the specific
Yeah,
number criteria per acre depending on sewers,
yeah, but it doesn't have a design component, and I think what we would have to do, if someone didn't want to do cluster,
But they're allowed in a certain number of units in terms of the acres, right?
Yeah, but when was the last time we saw a non-condo?
Non-cluster.
well, no, affordable.
Yeah, like an affordable, I mean, normally a cluster, I look at a cluster as a basically
Single family.
a single family, a regular subdivision where they're putting the single family houses. And you get that,
151.
you do get where all the affordable
condo.
developments seem to be condos
Yeah,
or apartments.
yeah. You weren't around back when, but when 151 Ocean Road came in with two different options, back all the way at the beginning of it all. It never made it to the master plan.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, this is too much of a distraction, it just hit me when I was
Well-
going through it.
No, it's
No,
something to think about. Maybe we'll put in a cross-reference as we get into the comp permit section.
Okay.
Let's just hold that aside.
But
I'm gonna write a note at the bottom of this page about comp
Did
permit.
you change that major and minor?
I've written it in here, I'm not gonna
Okay.
do it on there.
All right. Keep going.
Page 22. So let me take you all the way to comp permits. I had left this section out. You might recall that,
Can we back up? I'm sorry. So we did the may consider the drainage for open space last time. It still concerns me. So I was thinking, can we add the language in there at the discretion of the planning director or the planning board? Because if you leave it to the discretion of the developer, they're gonna suggest it every time.
yep. Where is that? Oh, right here.
Page 24, I think. Yep.
Okay, at the discretion of the,
May at the discretion of the planning director or planning board.
Did we address that last month?
We talked about may and
On this particular item?
yeah, but
Yeah, I thought we decided, no? No?
But everybody thought the idea was to leave it may, but it still concerns me that we don't put some provision that we're clearly saying that the town has the decision authority, not the developer, because otherwise every developer is going to come in and say,
yeah, it currently says shall not. We can go back to shall not, and I'll just take out the other parenthetical there.
but you made a good point last time about may, but I just think let's clarify that it's the town's decision, not, because every developer will come in and say, yeah, we have this open space, we're going to put our stormwater here.
Yeah. Okay, I've written a note to myself and folded that page over.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're all okay with that, so we don't
Okay.
go forward.
Yes.
So, yeah, either way, it doesn't matter. So let's just go on.
Right, so I want to get to comp permits. So I've written a whole new section on comp permit. As you recall, we took all but the zoning authorization component of comp permits out of what Rupert and Jill had drafted and took it out of the zoning component. I saved it on a separate document and I forgot to insert it in to your previous draft. So here it is here. And this is the procedural part. This is the approval part.
Is this from state law or did you write this?
It's state law.
Almost all of this, anything in blue is coming out of the bill.
All right.
So you got pre-application conference, preliminary review. This, actually, that doesn't need to be highlighted, sorry. What I want to bring you to is some of the stuff I've inserted in.
And it shows what you changed.
There's required findings for denial. Checklist that doesn't really need to be highlighted either, sorry.
Page you're on now, 29.
I'm on 29 now, scrolling forward. Okay. Time frame for review, we've got that in there. Modifications or changes. It says in the bill, modifications may be approved administratively, whereupon final plan approval may be issued. Now this is, so you've already been through preliminary. The applicant comes back for final, goes, I want to make some changes. And so ordinarily, if it was notable, I'd say, okay, that goes to the planning board, I'm not gonna touch that. Now the state law is saying, no, you can, you administrative officer, you can approve changes. So I've drafted this list of 6 things that I think could be reasonable elements that could be changed administratively. And keep in mind, what the law is telling us is we have to put the list in. If we don't put the list in, then it's,
Comes back to us.
well, no, then
Oh,
the applicant would say, well, all changes are approvable because you didn't dictate what is and what is not.
Yeah.
So the fact that I
Yeah.
put 6 in takes away everything else. So if you want to take a quick look at this, this is new to you guys. I literally wrote this sometime in the last 48 hours, but I can't remember when.
What does it mean, not in need of an adjustment, adjustment?
Well, remember that the term adjustment is added to the comprehensive permit law. It's the comprehensive permit version of zoning variance, dimensional variance. They changed the name so they have something else
So
to
you
call
can
it.
relocate the lot line if it doesn't then trigger some kind of dimensional,
Dimensional
whatever.
issue. Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Then reconfiguring of lots that does not result in additional units,
Oh, yeah.
driveways, or reduction in area of any lot that would require an adjustment. So if you're just shifting land around,
Yeah,
the South Pier Road subdivision comes to mind. Amy made a few changes in that layout. And it was a few hundred square feet here or there, but it didn't change any
Yep.
significant zoning related elements. So that's what number 2 is about. I should have underlined all these, I don't know why I didn't. Reorientation of roadways or driveways that does not result in need for an
Any
adjustment
okay.
on any lot. Reconfiguration of open space, landscaping, buffering, lighting, signage, ancillary features
Okay,
that does not result in need for an adjustment. You see,
Okay.
I have a theme here.
yes,
Or any lot or unit to reduce buffering to neighborhood properties. Then reconfiguring of drainage facilities that does not reduce capacity or result in location of the drainage facility close to proximity to neighboring lots. And last one is relocation of easements for installation of water or sewer or other utility lines or related facilities that does not require reduction level, blah, blah, blah. So you see I got a theme here. If all they're doing, and frankly, you know, we've had this happen in the past anyway, with subdivisions, people come to me with a final and the lot line is moved by 5 feet. But the lot hasn't lost its ability to comply.
but if we don't make these changes, do you have less discretion under this law than you had prior, when someone came to you with a change in final?
No, I would have more discretion because about the only thing that I've ever,
No, if we
So-
didn't make these changes, if we didn't put this line, is this your language?
I wrote it.
Right. So the law doesn't include these
Nope.
provisions.
Right.
So if we don't add this,
But you gotta remember, the law tells us we have to put in a list
Oh,
of
okay.
authorized minor changes.
got it,
Minor changes to the plan.
okay,
And when you look at the law, it says,
all right,
the town shall dictate what it is.
So
Joe.
in this situation, do you add that phraseology, but not limited to?
No, I want it to be, I want it to be a definitive list
Be
because,
definitive. Okay, yep.
because then there's a black and white line between what comes to me and what goes to you.
Yep.
So
Okay.
if someone comes in with something else I didn't think of here,
Yep.
or they want to realign a lot line and one of the lots is going to become non-conforming, I don't want any part of that.
Well, if
Yeah.
something crops up over time, you can go back and amend the ordinance.
Oh, yeah, yes, true. But I wanted the bright line
Yeah.
distinction between,
Yeah, all right.
Everybody okay
and
with
these
that?
are the kinds of things that I would feel comfortable looking at a
Yeah,
final
I-
subdivision.
Had a hard time wrapping my head around what the implications are, and you guys have a better feel for that.
So, okay, let's go, that's
I
good.
just felt like these are things I wouldn't feel uncomfortable doing.
Go ahead.
Good.
And there might be some other things that I didn't think of.
Yep.
And then here's major changes. Anything else, right? Anything that does not qualify as a minor change.
Okay,
You'll see that come up a couple of times. Application fees, fees are in chapter 19 or something. And so I added this sentence here, application fees shall be required as in, it's chapter 11. Provided, however, and I think this is reasonable, but you tell me if it's a stretch, that the administrative officer shall be authorized to waive said fees. This is just application fees, the $200 plus 20 per unit. If the development proposal or the residential component of a mixed-use development will result in the majority of residential units being deed restricted for sale or rental to low-mod income households at 80% of area median income. I'm going to tell you that's my philosophy. If you don't agree with it, then that's fine. But I would think if an applicant came to me, if I was sitting over there like I used to, and an applicant showed up with an application, wanted to do 51% affordable housing, I say waive any application fees we can, because that's reasonable.
so it's just about the fees based on the number of
Yeah.
affordables they're bringing in. Yeah, all right.
And it does say,
Makes sense.
that the administrative officer shall be authorized. It doesn't say he shall,
Great.
or she shall.
Would that, I mean,
Authorized.
just, not
It's still
to,
discretionary.
not to belabor anything, but would that tip anybody's decision point to bring in more affordables by having those fees waived?
Probably not,
Probably not.
but I do
It
want,
goes-
I want developers to know that there's a little bit of incentive.
Okay,
It's only a few $100.
When it goes to that clause, somewhere in the ordinance, it says we have to provide subsidies.
This is a
This
subsidy.
is a subsidy.
This is one of the subsidies.
all right, I'm good.
So then we've
You all
got,
right? Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody will pay their own way about that. Neither remember that.
so we're now on
Well,
page
you're old
30.
school, Joe.
Right.
We're now on page 31, we're moving through.
You are.
Well, Doc, did you have a problem with it?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I might comment, but I'm old school, I am. Everybody will pay their own way.
I agree.
It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yep.
Here we go, moving around. I
Moving
agree.
forward, so all this blue language is, so this brings us up to minus subdivisions, this is all,
Page
32.
Okay, keep going.
This is stuff you saw already, changing the 5s to the 9s. Everything in black is existing language. Taking out the dedication of in lieu fees. I think we talked about that. This is
Yeah, you cut that
yeah.
out.
I just think for lots that are, I just think we need, I'm trying to remember what this is about.
Well, the sentence isn't complete though. You just stop it there, right?
I would take the whole thing out.
Or the whole sentence out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, agreed.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, and here's the 9 lot
9 and
references,
10.
and then lot 3 to 9, because we have, the section above was 2 lot section. So that's all just clean up. That's clean up. Now we come down to development plan review. This is where Heidi's
page
gonna have
are
to do some magic. on
36.
formatting. We are on page 36. Okay, so here are the categories of projects that are subject to the provisions of the chapter, and these come right out of the law. 1 through 6, they should be in colored text because they come out of the law. A change in use, when no extensive construction is sought. The law does not define extensive construction, just in case you were wondering. Adaptive reuse project located in a commercial zone with no extensive exterior construction. Adaptive reuse project in a residential zone up to 9, less than 9 units. Development in urban growth centers, which I told you we don't have any. Institutional development, hospitals, Doc. I built a new hospital. And then like this,
Want to compete, right?
yeah, right. And then development in a historic district, and there's no description of what they mean by that.
This is all state law, right?
This is all right out of the bill.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
But what it does say is development of plan review shall consist of 2 review processes, administrative and formal.
Yep,
In the bill, it says we have to define where that distinction is, what gets administrative review and what gets formal review. The language in black is the same language you saw above, those 6 things that I just pointed out. The language in yellow is my qualifier for administrative review. So for administrative review, a change in use, when no extensive construction is sought, I would qualify that as it's a use allowed under the current use zoning for that site. Maybe that language needs to be.
change in use of the property was no extensive.
So don't forget, that could be, in commercial zones, remember, we got hundreds of different uses.
So, excuse me, these are things again that you're gonna have
Administratively
the
approved.
authority to do.
One stage of review authorized by the administrative officer. So it has to be an allowed use, even if you're changing the use, it still has to be allowed under the current zoning for that site. It's R10, has to be a residential use.
Mike, on a personal level, I think these are fine because I don't think you're gonna usurp any authority that, you know, and
Yeah.
anything you think the board needs to see.
No.
So it would seem to me, just a quick look at these, that they
Yeah.
make sense. I
I'm
don't know
trying
what you
to
guys
keep it
think.
very limited,
That's a
so
very good point.
adaptive reuse limited to a single use or category of uses. So you take an adaptive reuse of a commercial building and you turn it into a residential building. If it's a single use, that's one thing. If it's a mix of uses, some of which are not allowed under current zoning, well, that wouldn't allow.
Right, right.
Is an adaptive reuse in a residential zone up to 9 units and associated accessory uses, accessory to the 9 units. That could be,
Yeah, and then you just put the same is allowed under the current for the
Yeah.
other three, so.
yeah, so then 4, 5, and 6, I put that same qualifier in.
you got-
So now we move over here, and here are the formal ones. So here we go, change in use at the property where no extensive construction is sought, but involves a mixture of uses, which may or may not be allowed under current use zoning for the site. So you can see I'm drawing that distinction. In cases where zoning relief is required, guess what? Unified Development Review.
Quick question for you or Steve, can the state go in and excise out what we're adding here as our language in this?
They're telling us that we have the authority to put in these qualifiers, right?
Yeah, when you say the state, so two things. One is obviously if too many cities and towns start adding these, they could certainly amend a future bill.
Okay.
They could do that.
Okay.
And then the only other way to excise those would be someone, you know, gets aggrieved by it, takes it to Superior Court, makes the argument that
Oh,
we
the
didn't
judge,
have.
the judge says,
The judge
You
said
gotta
that,
pull it out.
we didn't have the ability to
do
enforce
that.
that, but,
Okay.
um,
otherwise we roll.
yeah, I mean, I'll take
All
that.
right.
But Steve,
that chance.
the enabling legislation tells us to do something.
Yeah,
To qualify formal versus administrative. I took the easiest route, which is to take their own language
yeah.
and then just expand on it. Could have gotten much more extensive, could have had a whole list of criteria or whatever.
Well, let's see if it stands up and then,
So,
all right.
so again, so the second one is adaptive reuse project in a commercial zone. And here, I'd say involves a mixture of uses that may or may not be allowed
Same
under the current zoning.
Yeah.
Unified Development Review process. Adaptive reuse in a residential zone
Same
that
thing.
involves a mixture of uses, okay, which may or may not be allowed. Development in designated urban growth center, same language. Institutional development, basically same language. Historic district, mixture of uses. So that's the distinction I'm drawing. I thought
Okay.
there really isn't, unless we were to get into long discussion about specific criteria that we want to see there. I can only go so far with this.
No.
Yeah, I thought these made sense. The only thing I would do in the second part, part 2,
Yeah.
instead of the word but, I would use the word and.
Where are we?
In front of all of them, you start with but. I would replace the but with and in all of them.
Change in use of the property, no extensive development is sought and involves.
Okay,
I don't, it's the same meaning, isn't it? What, I don't understand the difference.
But means sort of counter.
But negates.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, fine, go ahead. Put the end in. Let's keep moving.
I gotta circle them all, give me a moment.
Yeah, it just hit me when I was reading it, but I think they were good.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we on the development plan?
So now we're on 39, we're up to waivers. And we have to have a section on waivers. Now, waivers are different than standards, so what would we allow to be waived? And am I under, okay. The permitting authority may grant waivers of design standards. So my thinking was, okay, what design standards are we concerned about? the state law actually talks about things like drainage and traffic and whatever. It's actually in the language there. You have to address these things. So I put in waiver of drainage calculations and mitigation plan where it can be shown that impervious surfaces of the site will not increase and existing drainage conditions are compliant with town regulations. I haven't run this by Jill yet or engineering. They may want to see maybe stronger language than that. Waiver of traffic analysis or parking analysis where it can be shown that the proposed development will generate no more average daily traffic at peak hour, and not increase parking demand above previous use. So, you know, that's what traffic analyses do. But if someone was saying, well, I'm downsizing the development, you know, so it's going to generate less traffic because I'm downsizing, or I'm turning it into something that we know is a lower traffic generator. So
when you say we know, so without the analysis, who's going to determine that we know that this is going to generate less?
well, I think we could get that kind of advice from the town engineer. Certainly, staff and planning has some opinions about those things. I can tell you
Can the
what.
board still require those analyses?
Yeah. You have the permitting authority. And it says may grant waivers,
So,
so you don't
so
have
it
to.
gives us latitude if it's kind of a no-brainer,
Right.
and they don't have to submit all that analysis, but
Yeah.
otherwise the
I'm-
board
I'm-
can require?
Yeah, I'm trying to make this the no-brainer list.
I hope.
Um,
No, I just hope
No,
the
it's-
developers don't take advantage of that.
Waiver of professional landscaping plan. We've seen some developments where, you look at Agave. Agave has almost no landscaping
Right.
area.
No, I'm
You know-
more concerned with the first two than the
Yeah.
third and fourth.
And then the last one is kind of a catch-all, waiver of signage, lighting, fencing, buffering,
What do you guys
where
think?
no alteration is proposed or required. I
Rupert,
think that was the last of it.
Said,
what do you think?
Okay.
You all right? All right. Go.
Okay, there's some things here we have to fill in the blanks. Moving on to page 41.
One.
Still all required language.
Yep,
Modifications and changes to plans.
okay.
So these are minor changes. Okay. I mean, you're gonna see kind of a,
It's the same list, right?
it's a similar list. Well, no, it's not. But it speaks to what would be acceptable. Relocation of structures that doesn't affect circulation pattern. The second one is, I picked that number out of the sky, so I'm open to any discussion you have. Redesign of structures that does not increase the number of residential dwelling units or increase the commercial gross floor area by more than 1,000 square feet. We could say 100 square feet. Redesign of structures that changes architectural features but does not increase height, footprint, or gross floor area. Redesign of circulation pattern that does not reduce the number of spaces or introduce any new traffic regulatory devices such as signals or stops. And relocation or redesign of loading zones, we've had that happen a few times, to an area as far or further from, from, residential areas on-site or off-site, or that enhance the visual buffering from those areas. These are, again, these are the things that over the years we have struggled with looking at site designs. And sometimes they're no-brainers and sometimes they're not. And these would be those allowed administratively, so that would be by staff.
Okay, keep it moving. Looks good.
Then major changes are everything else, as you can see here, just below. Now we're going on to 43. Design standards. Okay, this is an incomplete section, I have to say. Oops, I got a duplication of language here. So standards for design of development of applications subject to development plan review are provided in, and it should say below. Instead of insert local reference, it should say below. There's going to be two subsections. One is going to be commercial and mixed-use developments. That would be A. B will be residential only. These, starting right there with building placement and design, top of 43, carrying over to
45,
46. These are all the design standards that we had drafted for the Boone Street mixed-use development ordinance that we negotiated and harangued over with the developer applicant about 5 years ago.
But is this state law or is this ours?
This is us.
Oh,
So I just put this in here, it's a placeholder. I also have the design standards from Galilee, which somewhat dovetail with these as far as categories go, building placement and design, that kind of thing. But we don't have a really good set like this of residential only. So I've got to find something similar to this, laid out like this, with the first section being building placement with a whole series of requirements. Then signage, site design, and landscaping.
so guys, you want to read these 3 pages between now and Thursday?
Yeah.
And
And,
just make sure that you're okay with those design standards.
right, so this whole thing can be, I highlighted this because I know this was, this first line right here, second line, a 5-foot setback. Remember, we were very important on Boone Street, we wanted the buildings close to the street. Well, we probably don't want that everywhere. So I'm highlighting it because I think it needs some qualification.
All right, so we'll check those. And then you'll develop the residential ones.
I gotta come up with residential ones, which I think I put a heading in and nothing else.
Yep, need to fill in stand.
There it is right there.
Okay.
So, now we go to Unified Development Review. Remember what this is. This is your application of similar practice of zoning variance and
Yeah.
relief.
We do everything.
Okay. So this is, the first part is introductory, comes right out of the law. Then we've got section on minor subdivisions and land development projects.
Is that read from the law or no? Or is that from our own?
No, I believe this is all out of law.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So that
Yep.
48,
So then you got development plan review is the next subsection. Next subsection is major subdivision.
yep,
Master, then we get into master preliminary plan, this is the how-to part.
yep.
Well, out of the
All the
law.
way to the 500 feet.
Yeah, then decisions. And then, where you see this blue language, this whole thing here was one sentence, and the blue didn't exist. It's not in the law. So it said, unless otherwise provided in this chapter, all under this section shall require. And I thought, all what? So I wrote in this blue. And I think it's what they're
Clear.
trying to say.
Okay. Looks good.
Yep. The notice area for your public hearings is 500
Just
feet.
the 500 feet, why not 2?
Well, under subdivisions that go to public hearing have 500-foot radius.
Yep.
This is something we could spend some time monkeying around with. I've never thought 500 was appropriate in the R10s. You can go like 2 blocks. 500 is probably appropriate in R40 and R80, but I don't know that we want to get
No,
into those weeds at the moment.
no, let's leave it, you guys can attack.
And I don't know, when you're doing
2025.
unified development review, think of this though, when you're doing unified development review, if the abutters within 500 feet are being noticed for the hearing, for the subdivision, and then they're not getting noticed for the relief, that would kind of seem unfair. So I think we have to use the same radius for the relief. You follow?
So we have to change the 200 to 500.
It's 500 right now.
So what do we have to change?
No, for the,
Nothing.
yeah, no, zoning's 200, but if it's unified, they'd get 500, so it'd be 500 for both.
All right, 500,
Yeah.
we're good.
So moving along,
Procedure,
and now we're at
part of our
section
laws,
5, which is 52.
it's all us, right?
Yep. And this is all existing language, checklist, that's just a highlight. Okay, the 15 days is it 15 days new, Steve?
Administrative subdivision? No, there was always a time.
Was it? I can't remember. So let's move to minor. So minor land development, application types and stages, here we go. This is all out of the law.
What page are you on?
I am on
54.
53.
Yeah, this is not adding up to what you're projecting, to what we've got in front of us.
What do you mean? Right here, 53.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
53, procedure.
Yeah, I think we're close enough.
Wait a minute.
I mean, it just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're there.
It's good.
Let's see, 51. Okay, yeah, I'm off by one at the
By half a
header
page.
of
Yeah, by
this
half.
here.
okay, that's, so we're
Not-
not crazy.
Well. No, it's, you know, I've been through this thing a few times and I've
Can I
reformatted it a
interrupt
few
you
times.
for one thing? There was something that when you sent this out the other day,
Yeah.
there was something, and I don't know where we are in it, but it said, that, I can't even remember the entities. One of the players within our processes, whether it's building inspector, you or whatever, has 65 days
Yeah,
from the certification of completeness.
right.
But the next entity had to make a decision within 45 days of the certification of completeness.
That's the kind of thing I gotta double check. That could be.
Do you remember that? It was in the email that you sent, which is probably the precursor to this.
Yep.
It may be cleaned up in this, do you remember?
No, I haven't changed any of those. So if that's an inconsistency, if I,
Well, can you, everybody just look for
I
that? There was
copied the wrong
something that
number.
said, I'm just gonna make it up, that the planning staff has 65 days to
well, we
make
got,
some decision since the certification of completeness, but the board has 45 days.
we got this, certification of completeness.
no.
Then there's the 90.
It's the 90, we'll find it somewhere, but just
Yeah.
keep an eye on, anyhow, go ahead, keep plugging.
Right, so here we are on procedures, and this is out of the law again. And one of the things we had, don't forget we had minor land development, minor subdivision. Applications requesting relief from the zoning ordinance, that's one. Subsection 2 is other applications. So if they're not requesting relief, then the administrative officer shall review and grant with conditions. They tell us we have to identify waivers that the administrative officer can grant that don't require zoning relief, okay? So the 5% was stuck in my head, so I thought maybe item 1 would be justifiable. 5% area, frontage, lot width. Then the other items, I see 2 through 8 as being the kinds of things that you would do on these really small, little 2 or 3 lot subdivisions where the road leading up to it has no sidewalks, has no street trees. Maybe it's not even long enough to require a street light. Certainly, if it's a really small development, it wouldn't have open space. Monumentation might, monumentation is setting bounds. Might already exist nearby enough that you don't need it. Curbing requirement, again, if the road leading up to it has no curbing, and landscaping requirements. So I'm thinking the first one is kind of key, but the others are,
Yeah, go back to number 1.
yep,
It says that you can grant the 5%
it's if you want me to.
of
If the
lot
council
area,
wants me to.
frontage, or lot width for a minor subdivision?
I was just thinking it would parallel the 5% allowance in the modification component of the state law, the zoning law. But I typed it in there. I'm not trying to usurp authority. I typed it in there because there's a level of
But
coordination.
we can't hang on to that 5% in the zoning ordinance. We don't have to do this. We have to do that.
Right.
I
So-
wouldn't do that.
All right.
I don't know.
Take it out.
guys. Basically, if something comes in, it's short on area or frontage, shouldn't the board make a decision as to whether it makes sense? We've had enough,
The subdivision.
we've had enough contentious proposals with
Yeah.
neighbors showing up.
Yeah.
I think on
Yeah.
You know, the two big Sweener houses over on,
Mhm.
can't remember the street, in the pier. And that was, you know, we wanted to put a
Yeah.
road in and do three out, the whole thing.
I wanted to get it out here for the discussion.
Okay.
I don't have any emotional attachment to
Well,
it.
what do you guys think?
I'd agree with you.
Follow your lead.
Yeah.
Come back to the board on that
Yeah,
one, Mike.
come back to
The other stuff, I agree.
No problem.
Okay, thanks. You gotta watch this guy all the time.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming.
You guys will just be figureheads by the time he's done with this thing.
I know.
I'll just walk by you with the plans and go, okay, this is good, right?
I don't know. This is what's been approved.
This is not a mayoral system here. Okay, go
You
ahead.
know I'm kidding. Okay, okay, this is just clarification, nothing to worry about there. Okay, here's our next discussion item, and
Page
this is where Rupert
57.
and I go out to the floor and we geek out.
So, yeah, so
Oh, this is your favorite technical review committee.
yeah, so
Okay.
I totally get not wanting a technical review committee for the upfront process, and I think the way Mike does it is great. I guess where I thought it might be useful is when the final plan is approved, or the way it's minor subdivisions, right? They end up on Mike's shoulders. It doesn't come, and there's subdivisions of up to 10 units now.
Mhm.
So that's why I thought it would be useful to have the technical review committee so that it's not on, you know, you have the lawyers and the engineers and everybody versus Mike. You know, you have some support for them in making decisions. But, and I don't know if we can have it so that it goes to technical review committee for the final decision, but not the upfront stuff, or anyhow, that's where I was.
I mean, I would like to hear Steve's response to that aspect. I think technical review committee can be targeted to only certain levels of review, and the authority can be focused.
Steve?
Can you, because like you, Terry, my brain only thinks one thing at a time. So can you go back down, like scroll back up just a tiny bit? It was the time frame. What page was that on?
It was on page 57.
Oh, 57, Mike? Yeah, go back down, I'm sorry.
All right.
It's underneath what we were just working
Oh, okay. This here,
No,
14 days?
It was 15, review stage is minor,
Yeah.
and then it goes to C certification.
Okay, hold on, let me find it. Should be.
I think it's,
Did
Yep,
I-
oh, right, all right, yep, no, right there, okay. So see that last paragraph?
Yeah.
However, in no event will the administrative officer be required to certify correct as complete or incomplete, less than, see, that doesn't make
Oh.
any sense.
Oh, we gotta check and see which one that
I
is.
think it's 14.
Thank you for capturing that. That's right at the top of the page. Okay.
Jill's checking to see what the state law is, like 99% is.
this is where you stop and say it's not complete, and then they come back with stuff, and you have to approve it after.
Yeah, I think it's always been 10.
Oh, minor.
I mean, I had a couple of those not too long ago, as you recall. But she'll find it. I bet at nickel it's 10.
I think you're right, I think it is 10.
Michael, while I'm looking those up, this comment that was made about the technical review committee, you don't feel it's necessary.
I don't.
Yeah, and if the point that was just made was, this is
What,
to help you if
yeah.
necessary, you just said
So-
it isn't necessary.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
it
so
was-
in part of my concern is
I've
not
answered
when
that.
Mike is in this role, but when somebody after Mike is in the role
Can't-
that doesn't have this level of expertise.
Can't
that-
they request it? That we-
So, it was 14, it is now 10. So we can strike out 14.
My answer to the and very much appreciated approach that Rupert has put forth to, to create some backup, to create a little bit of, assistance to the administrative officer. My answer to that is, I already do it. When I get subdivisions now, I require a certain number of copies. I print up a transmittal memo and I send it to all the different departments around town hall. At minimum, Public Works, Engineering, and Fire Marshal get it. Sometimes building official gets it also. Sometimes I send a copy to Steve. Steve always gets the finals when all the condo docs are coming in and that kind of stuff. And other times, we've actually had other department heads involved. If there's like a recreation site next door, I might send it to Parks and Recreation Director. And I ask for, and Police and Fire always get copies of master plans. So, as does the Conservation Commission, which Jill assists us with on that. So, my feeling is I get input. If it's ever so complicated that I need a face-to-face meeting, like a TRC would be, I just assemble it. I contact the department heads of the relevant departments, depending upon the development. And we come in here with the developer and we'll spend a couple hours. Everybody gets their laundry list out. The developer has to write down the laundry list. I look at them and go, now you know what I need.
Yeah, I mean,
See, I totally get that part. I guess I'm worried about the final decision stuff.
I mean, one thing
Yeah,
might want to be discreet. So, one thing I was thinking is, obviously, in bigger towns, they have more staff to pull away the people on the technical review committee. So, is that something we got to run by? If the fire marshal's part of this, if the town engineer's part of this, if the DPW, like they aren't correct. So, should we ask? I mean, they should be part of this conversation because they would be the technical review committee.
Yeah, they might not want to be part of it.
Yeah, in other words, do they have the manpower to add another committee?
Does this require it if we leave it in?
It's not required. No, technical
So we
review
could
committee
leave the
is an
language in
option.
and still employ it when we wanted to, and if it didn't work out, that we could do it?
Nah, if we put in our ordinance that there's gonna be a technical review committee, we have to create one.
Is this language enough to move this on, or do we have to develop a whole section on this?
You have to develop it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm at this point, if Mike doesn't think it's necessary, I
No,
don't know.
I mean,
I understand Rupert's concern, and particularly, good point, in decision-making, you're the
Yeah,
lone
we get
soldier
it.
out there.
And right now, you have
Get all
lots
that.
of experience and expertise.
Yeah, but, and it can be brought back, right? You can bring it back
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
add it to the ordinance after
Yeah.
January 1.
My feeling about decision-making is, whether it's me or somebody else acting as administrative officer and doing that and writing a final approval, you can bet now under this new law that I'll be seeking a little bit more assistance from Steve, asking, his opinion on how we're gonna, maybe word certain conditions of decisions. And when there are technical elements that Public Works or Fire Marshal or somebody needs,
We're gonna leave it out.
I think we can live without it. There
Gonna
may come
leave
a
it out.
point where,
Introduce it in the future.
Yeah.
the AO is overwhelmed
We're
and
gonna
needs
leave it out.
some backup.
Keep going.
Sorry. Your point is good. No, you're.
No, it's fine.
They're all good points, yeah.
But, and I think the whole board decided to leave it out the other day, so
Yeah.
let's just leave it
And
out.
I was totally with that until I read the ordinance. I'm like, oh, this lands on Mike's lap.
All right, where are we now, Mike?
We are on, decision and modifications and changes to plans. Again, this is my list, I think there's a fifth and sixth one. This is my list of potential changes that I would feel comfortable.
This is essentially the same list you
The
put in
lot
before.
lines.
All right,
Yeah, no additional units, driveways,
don't have to go through them.
Yep.
You got
it's
them.
the same list.
Let's go.
And then major changes, as you can see, is everything else.
Yep.
That brings us,
So
so this is all old language that's coming out. But
Right.
one piece of old language that I thought we might want to keep in is site visit, not required under state law. And it's only a May schedule. A site visit, I don't see any reason not to leave it in. I don't think you'd be prohibited from doing it.
You can leave it in. How many times in the last 30 years have we done that, Joe?
Handful.
I don't even know if it is a full handful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll leave it in. I don't have a problem, but we haven't employed it very often.
Yeah.
Not
All the
that we
rest of this
should.
has to come out because it's
It was
being
useful the time to do it.
superseded. So
Yeah,
now we're on major land developments and we're at bottom of 59,
or in our book, 60.
60, sorry. Sorry, guys. So I put in some language on pre-application. This is just descriptive. Hold on, yep. That should say.
So this is your language.
There should be a 1 in front of pre-application, I guess. Yeah, this is, actually, this is language out of current, the yellow.
Then, excuse me, then it goes to 9.
What happens? We go to 9.
Or is mine different?
Oh, gosh.
You have pre-application, where's that? I'm not even seeing that.
Right
Okay,
there.
right there. And then stages of review, oh, my book says 9.
Yeah, mine does too. I was doing some last minute editing and
That's okay.
the numbering went
This
bad
says
on
2.
this. Yeah, it should be 2 because there should be a 1 in front of pre-application.
Okay, keep going.
Text hasn't changed. You can see I have a few indicators here that have to be filled in. Moving on to page 62 in the paper.
It's all
Certification.
state law, right? All
State,
law, 60.
These, we gotta catch Steve when he comes back. These little footnotes are things that were provided to us. They'll all come out. But these are notes to us from the League of Cities and Towns who drafted up the guidance materials, who helped us. And these are notes to run by, in most cases, to get guidance from local solicitor on
Okay.
certain things. So you can ignore those footnotes.
So you're
Technical
going
Review
through
Committee,
all the state law, technical review committee's out on page 65. It's not stricken, it's just in blue.
yep, you're right. Then we come to,
I'm like at 66, 65. 65, the technical review is just in blue, but it should be
Yeah,
stricken.
it's stricken. So around 66,
66. This is
oh,
all
wait a minute,
state law.
now there's something wrong.
something wrong?
Yes. Oh, no, okay. Yeah, public notice. Okay, this is all on page 63. I think I might have relocated this thing. No, there's the public hearing. Go ahead, duplication here.
Public hearing goes to notice area,
Yeah,
goes to vesting, preliminary plan review,
yeah,
submission requirements,
right.
and then final plans on page 66.
Let's see. I feel like I'm missing something here. Hold on. Yep, sorry, that's just me.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Preliminary plan review.
You keep using the term master plan. You were presenting before the town council. I missed something. Is the master plan preliminary?
For comp.
For comp plans, for affordable housing.
Oh, I got it, all right.
You know, it took me a while to actually get that straight in my head. I'm like, I thought it's gone. Now it's here.
No.
For regular subdivisions, it's not gone. So then over here, technical review committee. Where were we here? Oh, come on, Mike.
What are you doing here?
We're on 67?
We're on 67.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Making my head hurt.
Okay, so here's where technical
Yeah,
review committee
take
has to
that
come out. Okay, sorry. Then we move to final plan. There'll be another section here about,
And then you have your,
modification.
those things are the same,
Yep,
so we're good with those.
yep,
Then you get to pages and pages of stricken language,
yeah,
which is from the current ordinance,
right. From this section here on,
up to page 73.
yeah. So let's just scroll right through. And we get to precedence of approvals. Now, I had to put in this header, because there are some things that are gonna have to go to the zoning board for variance, and then there are many things that are gonna come to you for unified development review. So I changed the heading from zoning board to applications that do not qualify for unified development review. And then I put in these qualifiers here. All the black language, black and white there, is right out of the current regulations. But I qualify out the unified development review.
So this maintains the zoning board's authority, but it clarifies that unified development doesn't go to,
Correct.
alright, keep rolling.
And then here, so then I had to put in something for applications that qualify for unified development review. Yeah, and the numbering has gone completely haywire in the paper copies. Ignore the numbering. And we just cross-reference where the procedure is located.
Alright.
There's a typo here.
Section 6 is our current ordinance,
Recording of plats and
doesn't
plans.
change.
Yeah, this will just scroll right through.
Section 7, our current ordinance, doesn't
Yeah.
change.
Yep,
When we get to page 81, where there's more state laws,
yeah, when we get to it, there's appeals.
waivers
Waivers.
and modifications.
Oh, come on, how do they do that? Excuse me.
There you go. Whoop. There you go. No.
I gotta make it a little bit smaller.
It's all right. You can make it as small as you need.
There we go. Okay, sorry guys.
Over
Okay,
here.
yep.
And
So
this is
this-
all state law.
State law, where subdivisions, then there's waivers on development plan review. Then, there's no need for this highlighting, this is all out of state law.
And state law. Then we go back, page 84 is town ordinance, reinstatement applications,
Yep,
decisions on waivers.
whoops, how do I get unified development?
Where'd you get
review
that?
again? I knew I did something wrong. Okay, this whole section has to go, excuse me. Let me get past that.
Oh, you put that somewhere else.
I picked it up accidentally. Oh, gosh.
Close it out, don't see.
Hmm?
Unless, did you make changes in it?
No,
Other changes? Did you make any other changes in it?
holy cow.
Control
Okay.
Z, or close it out and don't save it. Or save that. as a
Yeah.
You'd be
I'm
looking
not gonna
like-
do it now.
You'd be looking to like page 85, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, here we are. Okay, sorry guys, so there's a whole section in the middle there that got somehow duplicated and inserted and has to get taken
He's
out.
coming in Egypt. Yeah, he's coming in Egypt.
Okay, enforcement and penalties, this is out of our ordinance.
Yep,
Section 10's out of our ordinance,
yep.
and we're in,
Terry, while we're on
Yeah.
10, to answer your question, planning board, you know, to amend subdivision regulations, notice of public hearing.
what's that?
The public, in order to amend, section 10 is the procedure to amend subdivision regulations, which require a public hearing
Okay,
and advertising.
so let's talk about that after we get through this.
Yeah. I should've
Okay.
Yeah, in my wheelhouse.
Adoption and amendment of regulations, administration and regulation amendments, so this is state law defining you.
Yep. Yep. And then there's technical review committee, stricken,
Yeah. And then administrative fees.
planning board of review, of course that's gone now. And we go to fees. The only change I did here was I added in the reference to development plan review that people should be paying an application fee for that.
So these dollars haven't changed
Should we recommend?
No.
Should we recommend changes here?
to the dollars?
Yeah,
Yeah,
feels like we should.
I mean,
I didn't put any numbers in, I thought maybe.
What's
you
the
wanted-
statewide average on this, Steve?
Heidi-
we're low.
Heidi did an analysis for us, but we haven't pulled that out recently, but we were significantly lower than.
Yeah, I
most
mean,
around here.
I mean,
When you say low, 200 goes to 500, or does it go to 5,000?
No, it goes to like 500.
I think the average in
Plus-
South County was somewhere between 300 and 400.
Yeah, plus, you know, the, if you do five, you're not out of whack. If you did 500 plus 20 unit.
So moved.
Pick a number.
Yep.
And so, we also, I think, need to add numbers for the, what are we calling variances from zero?
Unified?
No,
No,
from 0 to
modification.
15%
Modifications.
modifications.
Oh,
Where the town is responsible for notifying neighbors, not the developer, so it's a huge,
Did we go over those
Cost.
fees in the last exhibit?
no,
but modifications is under zoning, right?
okay,
So that fee has to go in there.
okay.
It has to go in zoning ordinance.
Okay, we didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah.
When we went through those, we didn't talk about the fees
No,
for
Right.
requests for variances?
Right,
All
right.
right, can we do 400 on these? I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, double everything.
and
I would take counsel that 500 would put us in too high a level. Joe?
So Mike, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
For the administrative fees, if you were to change the fees in 5 years, does that send this whole process back through a public hearing and a 3-week notification? And so is there a reason why the fees have to be within the subdivision regulations, or can they be a separate fee schedule?
Well, we know that the separate fee schedule, the zoning has separate fee schedule. And maybe that's why it's not in the zoning ordinance. So that's maybe something we wanted to talk about, that fees could, if it's in the ordinance, then we have to go through this. If it's completely separate, it could have a more abbreviated process. I don't know that we
Yeah, I mean, I
get
think it
away
would
with
still
going
have
to
to,
hearing.
still have to be an ordinance.
It was
Yeah,
supposed to go to
go
You
to
hearing.
still have to have
ordinance.
public hearing and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So the only difference would be the normal ordinance procedure as opposed to this, which is,
So
I don't remember us ever discussing fees, so this has to be old, so,
These numbers go way back.
yeah.
All right,
So
let's-
at least double.
yeah,
Just
let's
double.
not linger, let's make a decision, guys. What do you want to do? Rupert?
I agree with the idea of doubling. I don't, you're saying, like other towns, not in South County, because I imagine it's the same story. I bet they haven't raised theirs.
Why don't we put 400 plus 40 and 200 plus 40
Yep,
in as placeholders? Heidi has already done an analysis that is sitting in a file, and neither one of us can remember all the numbers at the moment. But let us bring that back on Thursday. We can always.
All right, we'll just
do that.
finalize it on
Yeah.
I'm
Thursday.
not bringing nothing.
That's good.
Can you please get the file out for me?
All right, let's go.
And as you see at the bottom of the asterisk, we're adding $75 for Unified Development Review. That's the fee for zoning applications today. Maybe that needs to be doubled also, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Double the whole thing and then
Yeah.
bring it back to us and we'll make a decision
These
Thursday.
guys
Double it,
dealing
we still are
today.
cheaper.
Hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands of dollars.
yeah, I mean, when we're thinking about the cost of.
Yeah, but I don't
doing
want to
these
go
reviews-
too high relative to
Yeah,
other
but-
municipalities.
yeah, I know, but it has to be rationally related, average, but keep in mind, this is the same group that just asked for additional administrative staff, which,
Mhm.
which will increase it will make it rationally, higher fees will be
I-
rationally
Right.
related.
Right.
I
So-
think if you look at the amount of time that staff puts into these reviews and the cost of their time, these don't
But-
cover 10% of their
But
time.
can we go off
So I
the
think we
charge?
can go-
If we charge like a real
No,
I mean,
amount,
we shouldn't go off
But I
the
think-
charge,
Tell
should
you
we?
off the,
But I think anything we do is gonna be rationally related.
Yeah, I mean,
to-
I think if you keep it 4 or 5, I mean, 5 is defendable all day,
Yeah.
given, but you can go 4. I mean, I don't think it's gonna,
and in my research, there's also, other fees of, public hearing fees. There's so more than just that.
Yeah, I mean, what's it cost for a public hearing? It
Right.
costs just for a stenographer.
yeah, and advertising.
All right, let's double them, and then we'll make a final decision Thursday, okay? But
yeah.
I don't wanna spend
Yep.
forever, because this isn't gonna offset all the costs of the new personnel.
That's for sure.
Right, they're gonna have to add something to the tax
Okay,
base. Okay,
um,
let's go. Appeals, all crossed out,
What's that? Yeah.
all crossed out. And then we're at,
I wanted to ask Steve, do I have this correct here? The decision by the planning board is not by a majority of the membership anymore, it's by members in attendance.
Members in attendance,
Is that correct?
correct.
Yeah. I added that in.
and that now applies to the variances as well, right?
Yeah, well, before, I mean, here it wasn't,
It was
you guys
always
had a
whoever
5-member
was
board,
sitting
it
here.
didn't matter,
Right.
but like in Cranston, we had a 9-member board, so you always needed 5, so if you had 5 people showing up, you need all 5 to vote. Now if 5 people show up, you would only need 3, but here, it's always come out to, it's 3 no matter what, because you have a quorum. If you had a quorum of 3, you would still need.
No, we still needed 3 on subdivisions and affordable, I
on
think.
subdivisions.
Not on recommendation.
Yes, so you-
So it's not the majority of members in attendance?
It is.
If you had a, well, it could be 2 to 1, that's true, if you have 3,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I think they changed the zoning too, but prior to all this, for the zoning board.
It's, yeah, well, yeah, now that's down to 3 too. But yeah, so, all right, yeah, you could, if you have 3, you could do a 2 to 1.
We could do a subdivision with 2 to 1.
Hmm.
That's different from the past.
In the past, it used to be,
That's
you
my
used to need
understanding.
3.
Our recommendations to zoning could be 2 to 1.
2 to 1, now you can, if 3 show up, you would,
All right.
2 to 1.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So here's the new appeals section. This is the beginning of it on 91.
This is all state law.
Yep, and as you can see, they go directly to
Yep.
Superior Court, do not pass
Yep.
go.
And then you get to section 13, which is our law,
What page?
page 94.
Yeah. What do you got there? One more.
94 through,
This is design and improvements. Nothing changes here. This is all about, roadway design
yeah,
and
100. 94 through page 100 is our
Yeah.
existing.
And we're not doing
Which we're
any,
not
we're not
touching.
making any changes
No.
here. This is all technical stuff.
And then 100 through, jeez, 10,
Yeah, it keeps going.
108 is all our ordinance.
That's the attorney's page in case they're trying to sneak something through.
Yeah.
No, I think that's it. And then 109
There's-
is our ordinance.
Yeah, there's
And
just a
that's
few,
done.
there's a few sections at the end.
That's it.
The stuff you sent us ahead of time, those are checklists, and are you planning on changing them, or
I have the checklists. I don't know if they're in here or not.
they're in what you emailed us?
Let's see if they're in here.
All right.
Yeah, his construction, yeah, here are the checklists. We don't have to go through the checklists, to be
No.
honest with you, but I want to show them to you, just so you get a good idea. There's text up front. There's, you define what type of application it is. And then as you're looking at it, I should make this a little smaller. And you're looking at it, you can see that you would have one checklist for every development. So this is administrative review, preliminary, yeah. Indeed. Administrative review, preliminary and final. Administrative review, preliminary and final. So you would use the same checklist for every stage of it.
This is from the state.
Yeah, well, this
Okay.
is from League of Cities and Towns.
Good luck with this one.
You don't like this checklist?
Well, it's your checklist.
Yeah. I gotta get through
You
it.
gotta get used to it.
Yeah, and so there's a bunch of it.
All right, so
I gotta clean this thing up. Well, I can't believe I got a whole section in here that's bad.
we're through that. Can I take 5, literally 5?
Yeah. Give me time to find that problem.
Good idea.
Ready? I'll call the meeting back to order, please.
Yes.
So, are we ready for Jill or no?
No, this is the comp permit stuff that has to go into the zoning book, okay? This is the stuff Rupert and I worked on a while back. I think this is the first thing that you gave to me, and then we worked up some changes, and this is, I think, the fourth draft of it. So as you recall, we were talking about adjustments.
Is that in front of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
got it.
this was in the affordable housing section, we looked at the first meeting.
Yes.
This was in it.
Right, and this is gonna be a separate ordinance because it's just the definitional, zoning related
Okay, go ahead.
components that have to go into the zoning ordinance. All the rest of it was in that, the comp permit section that I just showed you in the subdivision regulations. So as you can see, we got the adjustments. Remember we talked about what's an adjustment? Well, it's really just a zoning variance.
Right, okay.
And I put this in here, although this is not part of the law, but I put in, adjustments only apply to comprehensive permit projects. Because I didn't want people to get confused. These things in black were not in our ordinance, but they've been in the state law for a long time. We just never put it in. So Rupert and I talked and we thought, well, these are definitions that the state's had on the books for years, we might as well use them. Infeasible is a new one. This is a definition that nobody likes except for the development community. Because it
That's from
basically,
the new law, right?
yeah,
All right.
basically says we have to prove that, you know, that it's feasible.
All right.
And they say, oh, I'm sorry, it's infeasible, we have to live with it. Low and moderate income housing, that definition changes a little bit. As you can see, some language comes out in the middle, the highlighted language goes in. Same thing with meeting local needs, some additional language there.
Yep.
Monitoring agent stays the same, but we never had that, so we're adding it in. Municipal government subsidy, a modest change in the definition.
20% there.
Yeah, that's 20%. Yep, go, keep going.
Then here we go to municipal subsidy. This is section 7A of our code. 7A is the affordable housing chapter in zoning relevant to affordable housing. This is subsection 1C, the municipal
So
subsidy.
that's our language, and then the blue is the state language.
You got it.
Again, all right.
Yeah.
And then we got a little.
And over here we have the town shall provide the applicant with more dwelling units than allowed by right under this ordinance. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. Thank you, Joe Shikarchi.
And this is where he,
If this is at least something they threw to us, if I was trying to remember where this was located when Eva asked, so what, or Jill asked, what benefit are we getting? This used to say 10%.
Right,
Now it says 25.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and these are all those calculations. Properties not connected to water or sewer, if they have 25% low mod income, they get 3 units per acre. We got this here, which is lovely. We can't use floor area requirements to limit any application. We
And
can
we're
use it for subdivisions and land developments, but not comp permits.
Yep, and then we're back to our stuff.
Yep. Rupert reworked this language. This is slightly reworked, and I should have underlined where it is, but just modest changes in this paragraph here. And then comp permits, we had to take this language out because it doesn't comply. Because we are now obligated to provide forms of municipal subsidy as noted above. So we have to take that out. Here's the section on inclusionary zoning. This is the only thing I really want to talk with you guys about. Right now we have inclusionary zoning in the ordinance. It's not real well written. It's somewhat obsolete in its language. It has no density bonus. As I described to you at the last meeting, I've run these calculations a couple of times. There's no way to do inclusionary zoning without at least doubling the density or potentially quadrupling it, depending upon how you interpret the language of this section of the statute. So we have a decision to make, and many communities have decided to throw it out completely. Inclusionary zoning is enabled but not required. We could throw it out and not have inclusionary zoning. What do we get though? We might get subdivisions, big subdivisions, that come through, and if we don't have inclusionary zoning, we can't force affordable housing in them. So if someone comes in with a big lot and says, I wanna do 20 units, and it's allowed by right, we can't force affordable
So
housing.
the previous thing that said you gotta have 20%
Yeah,
of affordable if you had more than X amount of units.
right.
That's gone.
It's in the ordinance today. Here
Yeah.
are our options. We have 3 options.
Okay.
We can leave the ordinance as it is today, and it will not be compliant with the state law.
So
We
how can
can-
you leave it?
We could leave it, and I don't know if it would be defendable or not. We could change.
Steve, is that an option?
No.
All right, so Mike,
All right,
Mike,
done,
we're not doing that.
done, all right.
So what are other 2 options?
Steve's like,
Well,
Mike, read the tea leaves, baby.
I have a reason, but I'm not going to fight with him now. But so the other option is we put this in, and we are stuck with the kind of density that is very close to comprehensive permit density, within like a couple of units, depending upon which set of regulations.
Comp
you
permit
put in.
can be anything.
No, they're dictating to us what we
Oh,
have to allow.
I'm sorry, the new one, okay. Go ahead.
So, or we could just erase it completely, and then we run the risk of developments coming in with no affordable housing.
But
So-
not so dense.
so this is
Well,
really.
that would be compliant with zoning. There would be no zoning, there would be no density bonus.
Question.
So this is pretty close to what the density would be under a comp permit?
Yeah.
Or,
Depending on the way you interpret it, it could exceed it by almost
So
double.
what's the downside of this? Is that it's excessive?
Yeah.
In terms of the overall density, not just the affordable
Yeah.
density?
Because the basic requirement is at least 25% of the lots resulting from a development that is subject to inclusionary zoning must be low mod income, okay? Now, let's keep going, keep that in mind. When we go to this section here that says, the town shall allow the addition of 2 market rate units for each affordable unit provided, and that the minimum lot area per dwelling unit is reduced, blah, blah, blah. So now, you have to have 25% of the units are affordable, but for every density bonus affordable unit, you gotta allow a density bonus of 2 market rate units. I ran the numbers, and depending upon, let's take a 6-unit development. If a 6-unit development is assumed to be 4 markets and 2 affordables, then it doubles the density to 12. If it's interpreted to be 6 markets and 2 affordables, so the affordables being add-ons, and you still do this formulation for 25%, it goes up to 24
Wait,
units.
stop. If we have 6-unit development, 25% has to be affordable, which is what?
No, it's 1 1/3 or something.
2, let's say
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
So then you're supposed to get 2 markets for each of those affordable, so that's 4. So you're at 6. Why are you at 12?
Because you have to give market rate bonuses, and when you add the market rate bonuses to the mathematics, you don't get 25%. You have to keep moving up until you can have enough market rate bonuses and 25%. Get it?
No.
Let's use
In
10.
your example, I get 10.
In my
Because-
example, you get
Yeah,
10.
because well, if you're allowed 6, but you use 2, and then for the 2, you get 2 for each one, and you get 6 and 4 is 10.
So the
Get 12.
bonus is on top of the base 4 that I'm allowed to have.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
I get 6 more. Oh, there's how you get your 12. So you get 10 market and 2 affordable. Okay. Okay.
So to me,
That's crazy.
and we had a Zoom meeting the other day with League of Cities and Towns. And the consultant for League of Cities and Towns was Weston and Sampson. And they explained this to us, and I said, so let me see if I got this right. I ran the numbers. She
So-
said, yeah, that's it.
So obviously there's a defined amount of land. And now I got 12 houses that normally would be 6. So I've got to ignore all the environmental constraints and all the dimensional requirements and allow 12 units rather than,
Or you live with less than 25% affordables, and then you're breaking your own regulation.
yeah, but I can't invoke wetlands and setbacks and,
You can invoke wetlands and setbacks, they all have to come out of the calculation up front.
before you say it's available for 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think every significant subdivision we get is gonna come in as a comp permit anyhow.
Well, they always have.
They have up to this point because our inclusionary ordinance right now has no bonus.
Right.
But I mean,
So
without,
everybody was just ignoring.
yeah,
But this
I never
is,
thought
this
I'd
is
say
one of the
this.
biggest mistakes of the
But
statute.
with comp permits,
Yeah.
why would we need this? Like,
It's
if
not
you're,
that we need.
if you're a developer and you wanna put affordable housing in as part of your development plan, why would you would go with the comp? what would
even
be-
if you don't wanna put affordable housing, you're gonna come in with.
But
a
I-
comp
With the
permit.
comp permit, but so what would be the advantage, if you're a developer, what would be the advantage?
But
You
I,
actually get more.
excuse me, I always lamented our lack of inclusionary zoning and everybody defaulting to the comp permanent because it seemed to me the inclusionary zoning set defined numbers
Yeah,
and you could tell the developer, this is our inclusionary and you ought to follow this even though they could still come in under the comp permit. But it gives, the problem with this is those set numbers are absurd.
Yeah.
Right?
And-
I mean, it's not set numbers that we can determine.
and everybody on the
big, so-
Zoom meeting was saying the same thing. Yeah, I've run the numbers, it's crazy.
So
And I know-
inclusionary zoning, I always said we should get that back in, but now,
And I know neighboring towns that are striking it.
But, you know, so here's the thing that kind of throws me off, and this aggravates me. This could be potentially
Yeah, it should be.
the ultimate, the actual objective of the statute. To get people to throw out inclusionary zoning so developers can come in and build large developments and not have to build any affordable housing.
when did you become a conspiratorial thinker?
Think about it.
But I still think the bonus units you get under comp permit, they're gonna come in with the comp permit anyhow.
I don't think so.
You know?
Nope. I think if they could avoid the affordable housing and work with the zoning, they would do it. Because
Even though you get so many more units with the comp permit?
But with the zone.
the development community has for the last 15 years only been working at the top of the market. They don't care about the bottom of the market.
Okay.
All right, so let's toss it.
No, so he's
Steve,
saying not,
do you-
he's saying keep it.
I'm saying,
He's saying
we
toss
should,
it.
I'm saying.
You're saying keep it?
I'm saying I think we have to keep it. We have to put in this and suffer along with the density that we're gonna get with a comp permit anyway.
But it's less with the comp permit.
But it's gonna force some
Depends on which way you
affordable
interpret
units.
it.
It's gonna force some affordable units.
What I would do is I would take the more conservative position of interpretation, and this would be 12 units.
But that might not last, that might not stand up, with all due respect, after the first challenge.
Right.
And then we're stuck with somebody having made, and then not even a determination here, right? If they make it at a state level or in another town, then that becomes the definition, right?
Case law, yeah, sure.
Then we can
But you got
revisit
at
it.
least, 2 or 3 years before that happens, before, Superior Court would get through something like that.
All right, so
If
I
that
put it to
happens-
the,
if
I
that-
put it to the board to say, wait till Thursday and make a decision on this, think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to hear what Jerry and Mark think.
Yeah, I don't know, are they gonna both be here?
Who?
I think Jerry and Mark, I don't, and the
Mark
problem
said he'll
is,
be here. I haven't heard
the
from
problem is
Jerry.
I don't wanna rehash it all.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is the whole point, we're here, we're quorum, we gotta make some decisions.
But I get Mike's point, and
It really, at first I thought, hey, I can live with this 25% thing, it's great,
that's what they want.
And then when I saw the two for one, I was like, wait. And I started running numbers. I ran numbers for 6 and an 8.
So-
I didn't run numbers for a 10-unit development. I don't know.
So for your average run-of-the-mill development that comes in under these two, this or the comp permit, where are we gonna get more units? Total.
It depends on interpretation. I can't say one way or the other because I don't know how it would be interpreted.
Well, worst case interpretation, the one you guys think it is what you just ran. So we're gonna get more units total under this?
Look at this, it is.
And more affordable, or,
I thought it was, I thought I was gonna be backpedaling a minute ago, because I thought they only referenced majors, but they don't. Any development more than 5 dwelling units. They didn't kick that up to 10.
alright, but
Sorry.
yeah, I'd like an opinion, like, are we
Go ahead.
gonna get more under a comp permit or this? In total and affordable?
It depends on whether the site for the comp permit is served by water and sewer. It depends on whether they're going with 25, 50, or 100% affordables. But if we're just using 25% as the comparable here,
Yeah.
you'd be getting 3 units per acre, right?
Well, at
At 25,
25% low mod?
yeah. Is it-
Yeah, that's
We
the
got 5
lowest
units
number.
per acre.
It always goes all the way up to 10 or 12.
I think
For
when you have
100%,
sewer and
right?
water, it's higher. I
Yeah,
have to
higher
double
with
check
sewer
those
and
numbers.
water.
Yeah, but again, just run of the mill, sewer and water versus this.
It's apples and oranges. Because it's a per acre reference in the comp permit law, and it's a unit count in this law.
What do you guys want to do?
Go on, council.
You want to get rid of
Let's get rid of it.
Rupert, you want it in?
Well, I hear Mike's point, and I think it could be a valid perspective, and it's an issue like the neighbor in town where they struck it.
I just want to
They're
do
coming
it
in
in
with
numbers
comp
again.
permits. Everything's coming in as a comp permit.
And everything has here.
5.
before, But again, we
5
haven't
units
had
per
much.
acre.
What's that, Mike?
It's 5 units per acre if you have sewer and water, and you're only doing 25% low.
Yeah.
So at 5 units per acre in an R10 zone, that's 50,000 square feet. You know, you're gonna get 6, or whatever, 7. Under this, you get 12, or maybe 24, I don't know. And, but in an R80 zone, 5 units per acre,
Yeah, but I think we got to look at it
maybe
like
it's
we
the same.
did with FARs. We got to look at
Yeah, and, you know.
10,000 square foot, you know.
You know, there's also, there has to be other considerations other than just affordable housing. There has to be considerations of, we don't have any sewer capacity.
Right.
My plumber came over my house and said, we used to have good water, now he won't even drink the water in Narragansett, he lives in Narragansett. That's from the plumber. You know, there's environmental, structural issues which, in this town, don't support that type of density.
So again, where will we hedge our bets as to include or not include in terms of more units? Not just affordables, but total units, because it's all a strain on the town.
Yeah,
Right.
this would
All of
create
them.
more units overall, wouldn't it?
Which way does it create more? And I understand it's not a straight answer, but you gotta make a decision. Otherwise, you're throwing a dart totally.
Yes, you are.
Table's split, although Jill hasn't weighed in. And she's not
Good.
going.
There's wisdom there.
She doesn't have a vote, so it doesn't really, you know.
Well, I guess the
Is
answer.
it forever?
I don't know
Whatever
the
we
answer.
decide, is it forever?
Yeah, no. So that's the answer is, it's not mine or Mike's decision, it's your decision.
Right,
And it's not forever, it can be changed.
it can be changed.
And I think there's enough pushback. Let's think about the idea of striking inclusionary completely. We run the risk of having developments come in that'll have all market rate housing, right? According to zoning. You know, 10,000 square feet per lot, whatever. But on the other side of it, I do believe that the General Assembly is aware of this, and they're already aware that some communities have dropped out, and that there's gonna be a press to change this formula
But we can't bank
in
on
the
that.
coming year.
We
Well,
can't bank on it.
but the
Well, my-
perception is.
My
that if-
point is, I don't wanna put a bad formula in, only to have to correct it, and in the interim, have some development come in that's 24 units in an R10 zone, where it should be just 6, and have to approve it. So if we have no inclusionary zoning, then the guy's gotta come in with 6 houses.
I'm going no. I don't know.
So I think the other piece of it is the perception. You know, all the rocks being thrown at us is against affordable housing in this town, and you strike inclusionary zoning, it sort of adds on to that support.
I realize that, but it's, the concern I have is that the multiplier is so off the charts,
Yeah,
that, as Steve said, there's
I
all
hear you.
different other kinds of impacts.
Yeah.
And I'd say that that is just perceptual, that is
Yeah.
optics, because the reality is they can come in under comp permit,
Right.
and we would welcome
So
those
I think,
discussions. So
so I think in our memo, transferring this, that we ought to point that out, so that it's made a point.
Well, we need
town
to take a
council.
stand. What do you say?
I'll be with you.
All right, let's excise it, Mike.
Okey-doke.
Shortens it a lot, saves a couple of pennies in the
And
publishing of the ordinance.
I don't love, either doing this either way.
I don't love it either way either. All right, so the rest of it is state law, we're done? on
I
this?
think so. Where's my copy? I
That
don't
was-
have, I don't have a hard copy.
That was the
I
state.
think the rest of it is, yeah, okay,
All
so all of this is coming out. Then we go down to this, and this is just the reference to comp permits that then gets carried out in what we already talked about in the subdivision regs. This is
Okay,
just the zoning side of it. So we're all done with that now.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, Jill, what am I bringing up?
Now
Not
we're
this
going
one,
to
right?
special use permit criteria.
Yes,
Which
you're bringing up the
Sabo
most
and
recent
Friday
one,
team
it
of-
should say no notes at the end, that's fine. That's
Okay, so
perfect.
this is not it, right?
Yep, that's it.
Oh, adaptive reuse?
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, well, I'll get to that, Mike, I know what we're saying.
Okay, so we're gonna
Yep.
start at the top, or we just?
We're gonna start at the top, I
for
wasn't
it.
going to, but I realized that we have, so this is the zoning ordinance change. We should be able to go through it pretty quickly, a lot of this you've already approved. I just noticed, Mike, that in your chapter 4, that we just went through, you and I have, or this document and your document have the same definition changes. So I would just ask that the board, so the definition changes are a little bit different. So we both have infeasible, we both have low and moderate income housing. The one that we have, if you scroll down, yeah, there you go, is broken out into 2 sub-bullets. Makes it a little bit possibly easier to read. And then we have a redundancy with municipal government subsidy.
Okay.
So that's really between you, Mike, and the board, where you
I'll
want
take
to.
it out of the other one.
Okay, great.
So that's all state law too. Anything in blue, Jill?
Yeah, so everything, unfortunately, it's gonna come in multicolor here because it's not my document, we're
What was the other, infeasible.
infeasible.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Low and moderate income
Oh, maybe it should come out.
and municipal government subsidy. I don't know, does it's just same section,
No, I'm just
2.2
thinking,
definitions.
those 3 are only related to affordable housing.
That's fine, we
So
can pull
maybe we
them.
should pull them out of this
You
document.
could, I like our setup better.
Okay,
frankly.
I'll steal your,
Okay.
your format and
Great.
put it in.
All right, so we're gonna strike then infeasible, low mod, and municipal government subsidy, because that will go into the document Mike just discussed.
Yeah, got
We
it.
added in 2 definitions, just so you're aware, group homes. So that would be, it's in alpha order, so it'd be
Sorry.
between infeasible and low
There
mod.
it is.
And then we added in orphanages.
Right there.
Okay, so everything here is the same.
What
You
page
go-
are we on? Well,
I know, I have no
There's no
pages,
page
you really
numbers.
have to follow along now.
Yeah.
I at least had pages.
So we're
We're
gonna-
gonna
Okay, so
say-
you really have to explain where we are then.
Scroll down to section 3. There
Okay.
we go.
Okay.
That you've already seen, we don't need to cover that.
Okay.
All right, so section 3 is the table of use
Yep.
regulations, so I won't go through all of this, but
No.
just know that we made all these changes, if you can
Perfect.
keep
And the-
scrolling, Mike, as I talk.
And the
Yeah.
one tweak here is, where we refer to sections for the special use
Mhm.
permits, I think we ought to either asterisk the S or we ought to say for special use permit standards or something like that.
Oh, sure, we can
Either-
add in
either
C
way,
section
just so
for
it's- just so
for
it's clear.
standards, sure.
Just so it's clear that it's for those.
Yeah,
I think that's in a couple of them, but
It's
not
in
all
some of them, yeah, it's not consistent, that's
Yeah.
all.
like right
I
here.
might have gone and deleted it all. Oh, right, if it was already in there,
Yeah,
I added it in, I left it
so
alone.
that language should probably
All
go
right,
in
yep.
anything that has an S, right? Rupert, is that
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
just
saying?
for add for
Sure.
special use purposes.
All right.
So, one of the things that I did do, if you go to any of those, unfortunately not the ones Mike has on the screen, but where it will say, see section 12.23, for instance, or
Yeah.
12.24 or 25. I didn't get so detailed as to put in all the subsections.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, no,
left
that's
it
fine.
as the use category.
We trust the process.
Thank
That
you.
works.
So if you scroll down, so just a little bit more, I have 063. There was a conversation, and you'll see it later on about, internally about striking dormitories for,
Yes.
so I have it there, drafted as striking it, but that's something you guys did not discuss last time.
So the discussion we had was striking the S and making it not there, but not striking it from the use table.
Yep, got it.
But, so one discussion that I've had with somebody was, it'd be great if the university put a dormitory at the Bay campus. So we don't want to say no dormitories.
And Jill and I were talking this afternoon, there's already dormitories at Middlebridge School.
Right,
And
correct.
there could potentially be dormitories at the Bay campus. And in my mind, they don't need an S or an X or a P, they need an A. Dormitories are not a
Accessory.
standalone primary use. Dormitories serve another thing, so you put it in as an accessory to an institutional educational,
Do
an
you need
educational
special use
institution.
criteria for
Yeah.
that, or no?
I think all we have to do is rewrite the description, dormitory for permitted use, and change it to dormitory for educational institution, put in an A where it needs to be over here, and you're done.
I'm good,
I think that's good.
So Middlebridge School is in an R80,
yep.
same
we're
thing
good.
with Christian Brothers. They have dormitory.
Keep cracking.
So
We're
can I
good.
make that government and institutionals, and that will coincide with use category 7? And then I'm gonna put it
Oh,
A.
slide it down?
No, just leave it
Oh.
right there,
Oh.
just the title change, or I could slide it down.
Wherever you
Either
think
way,
it's,
alright, I'll do it,
wherever
I'll
you
take
think
care
it
of it.
fits.
And
Just
I'm
make 'em-
changing, just so we're clear, I'm changing the AI and, IA and IB to S and S.
No.
No.
A and A,
A
I'm
and
sorry, A
A.
and A.
A and A,
Got
S
it.
and S or A and A.
Yep,
Yeah.
A and A, thank
Okay.
you.
Keep rocking.
Alrighty, so you can ignore those highlights on 92.
Tell me where to keep, I'm
Keep
just
going,
scrolling.
yep, just keep going, you'll see the next change. 094 right there, we added in group homes and orphanages, and the special use permit criteria is in 1212. All the others are changes that we've already discussed. We
Yep.
Keep going. You'll just start to see on the right-hand side where we add in the references,
Yep,
and you'll see them in blue if you keep going,
Yep.
there's a whole page of
Yep.
them. Yep,
yep.
I'm still scrolling.
yep, you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
keep, this is
stop.
a big table, keep scrolling.
All right. My finger's starting to hurt.
Yep.
My
You
finger's
can
getting
page,
cramped.
you can page it down, Mike, if you want.
Jill,
Yes.
excuse me, on 203, fish processing, why does it say special use standards for fish processing? Is there some
I don't
reason
know, hold on.
that we have fish processing in the margin, or is it
Hmm.
redundant?
Hmm.
No, we have a standard in section 1220 for fish processing.
Right, so it should
Yeah.
just say,
Oh,
Yeah, it's-
Delete
for
those.
You mean-
special use standards, period.
yeah, I'll fix the text.
Yeah,
Alright.
but I didn't know if there was a reason for that to be
Oh, we-
stated again.
It should be in here, 1220.
Is it because of the zone it's in, the Galilee?
No, because it's allowed in IA and IB, so
Mhm.
let's just get there real quick.
Okay.
Oh,
Galilee used to be IB,
it's okay.
now it's all
Yeah,
GF.
okay.
Hold on one second, Mr. Chairman.
Next big one is ferry services.
Yeah, so 12, section 1220 says standards for seafood distribution facilities and seafood processing plants. We already have standards in there, so I'll fix the wording, so
Okay,
in the entire use table, so it's all consistent and references special use permit standards.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so you can see if you keep going. There they are. Yeah.
408, you're gonna
Whoops.
get to
Well, hold on. Some of them I left alone if they were already in there.
ferry service.
408 is,
No, ferry service, the next one.
Oh, thank you for that one.
Yep.
So this is not, Rupert, I don't know if you and I ever came to a conclusion on this. We do have standards for 12 point, for ferry services, but I think the only location for ferry services is in Galilee.
Yeah, it's not in the use table, the regular
Okay.
use table,
So
but
do
we
you
have
want me to-
standards for it.
But if
Strike it from here and then we reference
Makes
it
sense.
in the Galilee.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
already in Galilee,
All
right?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep rocking.
that's the way to do
Alrighty.
it. Okay.
In the
You can get out of the use field because I don't think there are any other references that, of changes that we. Oh, 60, you don't have to go back, but if you in your head go back, use code 60 is general business. You guys didn't make a decision last time. There were a couple of, because it's 60 is, and then underneath that one, it then describes particular types of general businesses
Right here.
that we have created special use permit criteria for, but you were gonna come back to this one and didn't. So what are we doing with it?
personal, business, and professional service.
No, it's general commercial offices.
We think,
Oh, I'm sorry, right under that.
yeah,
Okay.
we think this is, could be eliminated because we have so many other sections
Yeah,
below
didn't
it
we-
that speak to offices.
Didn't we talk
Real
about that?
estate, yeah.
You did, but you were gonna follow back around on it once you got through all of the other types of businesses, and we just never did.
Okay.
So if you wanna strike it, we can. Section 6, just so you know,
What's
yeah,
the
the,
pleasure of the board here?
I've got it up.
I think it makes sense.
okay, thank you.
To strike it?
Just strike it.
Yeah, except I referenced it in Galilee. Right.
I caught that, no, I caught that and highlighted it, Rupert.
Okay.
So we can get
All
there when we
right,
get
strike
there.
it, Jill.
Got it.
Okay.
Keep going.
Still
All right.
rolling.
67
So then we,
is the next one. You went by it, Mike.
oh yeah,
Offices for
so.
medical or health or legal services.
Oh yeah, we took out legal services.
Right,
Right.
because it's in legal office.
Yeah,
Because this
because
is
it's the
legal
next one
offices.
down, yeah.
Yeah, so these are changes that you made. I mean, we can go over them
No, no,
again if you
they're
want.
fine, they're fine.
So you have like section, use code 774, you
Well,
struck
you
that
added it.
one.
You added a category for
Governmental or
government.
institutional.
I did add a category, thank you, Mr. Freddie, yep, section 7, governmental or institutional,
Yep,
we just referenced that, so,
And we're getting rid of retirement homes?
under section 7? No.
774.
we deleted
You have it
retirement homes?
I think you got rid of it last time, right? Do you want me to go back to my notes?
All right.
Did we get rid of retirement homes?
774.
Something we ought to think about.
We have it
Look,
in.
I
we have it
refuse
in-
to face the
So
possibility,
we
that's
have
why I
it-
got rid of it.
We have it,
I have to strike the entire use code.
but I think we have it in residential.
Yeah, we
We
moved-
did.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh, we have it
recall
up,
too.
well,
Yeah,
Assisted
because there's
living
no,
or
yeah,
something, we have.
Yeah, we
changed-
have,
Yeah, we changed the wording because there's, I don't even know what a rest home is. I mean, they're either assisted living,
we have nursing home, assisted living with nursing facilities, and independent and assisted
yeah,
living, so
we
we
just
have it all.
we kind of, we
Joe
moved it
knows.
and updated the.
It's like the term rest room.
What
What does that mean? Right?
I get that.
What does that mean? All right.
you got me there.
All right.
Okay, so still
Yeah,
scrolling.
yeah, keep going, keep
got
going,
some
we're almost there.
Okay.
So section 9 is an interesting one, that was the one for accessory, that's okay.
What number, Jill?
It's use code 9, Mike is up there now, it's the last 2 or 3 lines, so I think that one right there, see section 1231. So I added in some standards because I didn't want to
Okay.
strike, we had talked about this last time about accessory uses on a lot that required a special use permit.
Yep.
Should we
So-
change the language here?
For what? Oh, yeah, special use permit, sure. Yep.
Special exceptions, that goes back to the sixties. That language doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So I can do
You
that.
go back to the sixties, don't you?
And
Next section, section 4, which is section 6.3, we discussed this last time, section 6.3 had the table of use associated with it, so we just struck the whole table. We already put it back up into section 6.1, now section 6.3 is only prohibited uses.
Okay.
Section 5 we talked about, which is the modifications, I don't think we need to talk about that anymore. We covered it, the only thing I would say, oh, this is what we're talking about. Is.
So, excuse me, in the ordinance, the tables will fall under, in there?
In the ordinance, the table of use regulations will now be under section 6.1, where it's always received zoning relief. Right now, the table of use is placed, and I don't know why, it's been this way since I've been here, 11 years, under, the table of use is referred to in section 6.1, but the actual physical location of it in the ordinance is under section 6.3. The relief has always come, in my tenure here, and prior to that, under section 6.1, which refers to the table of use.
although if you talk to the town clerk, she will tell you that the table of uses is not a table of use, it's a table of prohibited uses. And that's why it's in 6.3.
All right.
But I showed her a copy of the zoning ordinance from the 60s where the table was under 6.1.
Moving on.
Yeah. So I think we're going to get it corrected.
Go ahead, Jill.
Section 6, adaptive reuse.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Moving along.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Okay, here we are. Adaptive reuse. Wait, no. Where am I? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we
7.1.
have you go to, you can keep scrolling, Mike, until
Okay.
you, oh, we also add, oh, this is a good point, section 7.20, so we have drive-up windows for drugstore uses,
Right.
and we just added bakeries and coffee shops, because the uses are, the standards could apply to all, it's noise and queuing and things like that. Because we needed a special use permit for bakeries and coffee shops, but we had no standards to go with it. So I edited the name of that here, and then you'll see
Nice
it
and
again.
easy. Right.
You following me?
Yes.
Okay,
So we're at adaptive reuse.
we should be at adaptive reuse, yep. If we keep going down, under specific and objective provisions, we don't have any yet.
Where is it?
It's there, right there.
Ah, there we are.
Right, so we haven't done that yet.
We haven't done that yet.
It's adaptive, but we have very little in adaptive.
Oh, yeah, so that was my other comment. On Sunday. Do we need the specific and objective criteria for reuse projects are found in the following sections of the regulation? So if you read that, why do we have to list the sections of the regulation if they're already there? Why is there a section pointing people to other sections?
Yeah.
Why can't we just eliminate, it's all coming back to me now. Why can't we just, where you going, Mike? Go back.
I was going to look at the header and see what
Oh,
where we are. So okay, so it's section 721, adaptive reuse. So what we should be doing, sorry, is take out that introductory language and say, and insert the provision. Right? I mean, this is the
well,
section on adaptive reuse.
no, I know, but why, we don't do that for any other, we don't do that for any other thing.
But this is
I mean-
this is a whole new subsection
I know.
on adaptive reuse.
But,
Where would we put the standard?
so why wouldn't we say following regulations in this section? Why do we have to go point out section
No.
4.3 for coastal wetland,
Oh, yeah.
If we start listing the sections and there's another section that applied,
I think all we would do is take out that line, A, specific and objective criteria, take it all out, and just insert the criteria. And we don't need to have 4.3 or 4.4 in there because those apply independently to every project that is appropriate, triggers the need. I would think we just insert we don't insert sections, we insert the provision.
but isn't the provision the whole section? Aren't we in?
Well, here's procedural. Oh,
So that's everything that.
this is it all, yeah,
So, exactly, so the whole section
yeah.
is the addendum.
Yeah, you got a density calculation. Yeah, this is it.
I know, so
We
why
can
do
just throw it on.
why do we need 1.4?
We don't need it.
Okay.
We can strike that whole thing. We found our way to agreement, Steve.
We did. Right, all right, moving on, so strike it.
All right,
Strike it.
Got
moving
it.
on.
section
Did you
7.
guys decide what we're doing over there?
Yeah.
We
Yes.
struck
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Thank you, let's keep moving.
Yeah, I think the air's getting a little bit.
So
light
section 7, we talked about it already. This is,
here.
mhm.
Mhm. And we have to take out the merger reference.
There's a big chunk in here on,
Help me out, where am I?
yeah, so we're just in section 7, which is section 8, substandard lots of record. We added the merger information in,
Okay.
revised the definition.
Standards
That was a
for
delete,
merger.
a delete and replace in its entirety, so you see a lot of text in there that doesn't change. We added in, relief where it's not otherwise permitted under section 5.
How far
And
am
that's,
I?
section 5 is the new substandard lot provisions.
Where am I?
You lost us.
Yeah, you lost us totally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, keep going down. Yep, keep going.
Okay, merger
This
blocks,
is, yeah,
I just saw
so
that.
this is the merger where where, because the way the section is drafted, it's a delete and replace it in its entirety, so there's a lot of text that doesn't change. Mike, these are the districts we were talking about earlier, they don't go by zone, but they go by location from
Yeah.
Clarkson.
Yeah, Clark Collins wrote these. So there's
Okay,
a
got it.
Jerusalem district, there's
Yes.
a South End district.
we're
So they
good.
didn't tackle changing these yet, it could be something that we could do in the future.
We're just trying to find it.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
my
just- you're
page
just moving.
numbers,
Without,
Yeah,
without numbers, it's
wow.
hard.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
So find your next closest section, and we are at section 8.
Section 8, titled Section 11,
That's the one.
variances of Chapter 731.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Variances
Okay.
and modifications. So in
Variances
your
and
case, Mike, you're going
modifications.
down.
Okay, keep rolling.
Uh-huh.
And what you've done is, this is our, I'm sorry, this is
Right here.
the law, or this is our current ordinance?
This is both. So everything in here is strike out underline. So if it's underlined, we added it in. If it's struck out, it's in there, we're removing it. This is
But if
In
it's
the
straight
black-
up black,
the
it's...
black is
straight up
existing.
black, it's in there,
It's
we didn't touch
existing.
it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we're on variances and modifications.
Yes, so we did go through all of this last time, if we go nice and slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, this is where,
Yep, under section 11.7.3,
so there's one tweak on this. So it's 11.4, so keep going with 11.3 if that's for sure. Did you have stuff for 11.3?
I'm sorry?
it's right here, we're up, Rupert.
Oh, okay, 11.4, if you go to number in brackets 4, there's a bracket before the next line that
Mhm.
ends
Oh.
after efficiency. We gotta get rid of that
Yeah,
bracket.
got it.
That was a note earlier.
Got it.
There's a bracket at the end of number 3.
Yeah, that's the other end of the bracket we gotta get rid of.
Okay. Follow that. Go to the end of subline 3, there's a bracket, close bracket.
It's the other,
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay. Section 11.7.3, review procedure notice and public hearing. We're going to add in the word complete, so it will read, within 10 days of the receipt of a complete request for modification. You can add it right in if you want, Mike.
You're gonna trust my typing?
Actually, yeah, I am, and you come in green, so I know it's you.
Look at that.
All right. All right, so the rest of this should be the same. Section 9 is the one we really want to, I just want to go over, and we don't necessarily need to come to any final conclusions. But that's section 12, that's where all our special use permit criteria is located. So,
Okay,
okay, so we start here under, for 12.1, 2, 3, and 4.
yep,
5 are all the same. Actually, 5, yeah, you should have the updated one in your book. 5 I edited. And then we have the special conditions. So if you go to, so we want to get to section 12.12, which says development standards for, and this is where I am making the use category name, titles match. So it matches the table of use that we just came through.
okay,
Right there, 12.12.
Okay.
Nursing homes, assisted living with nursing facilities, independent assisted living groups, group homes and
Yeah.
orphanages.
Throughout the convolution.
That matches the table, and it will also match the actual development standards in 12 point, in the zoning ordinance. I can't remember which section it is right now, but we'll get there. Section 12.14, we add in some standards for, so this is, the way we broke it out was was the use category, but then within that use category, the use code itself and the special use permits that were associated with each. So section 12.4 refers to use code 756, nursery, daycare, nursery school, kindergarten, other. If we start with section 12.24, this is where the table of use regulations, use code categories, that column on the right-hand side is in reference to these sections in section 12. So section 12.24 are development standards for residential special use permits, so everything in the 0 category. So for each one we
Okay.
have, I'm sorry?
okay,
So each one we have an opening paragraph which refers to all the other standards in 4, 7, and 12. And then in this case, we have standards for all special use permits, and then, oh, there's a note here for you, Mike. I don't know if you've seen that yet, the LOSC,
Yeah,
but maybe we can answer that before
yeah,
Thursday?
yeah.
C makes sense?
LOSC is correct.
Okay,
You probably want to put the word level of service
yep, I'll
in
do
front
that.
of C, but
Yep.
yeah. But C is the standard they designed to. A or B is better, but they don't like to get down to D.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's worth it.
Great.
so this is for all residential special use permits, and then if you go to the next page, number 2, you'll see additional special use permits. So it's everything that was above, and then some for use code 2. Number 3 is everything above, and then some for use code 061. You can start to see the formatting. So this was the one we had suggested to remove, but I can edit this to match what you just discussed in the table of use regulations.
okay,
Okay?
Oh, the dormitory one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 4, same thing, everything from the original 1 plus some. I do ask that you take some time and go through these standards, all of them, there's a lot of them. And then again, 5, everything from number 1 and then some. So section 12.25 are development standards for agriculture, extractive, and industrial manufacturing uses. Again, that opening paragraph. We reference industrial in the industrial zones. The special use permits are in, criteria are in 12.6 and 12.7. And then you can see per use code that requires a special use permit, we have criteria drafted. So there's 1, and then 2 is for 1122 veterinarian and animal hospital. 3 is animal husbandry service or other raising or breeding of animals. 4, so on, so forth.
Yep,
So, okay, so this is another note for you, Mike.
yep.
This is what I mentioned earlier, Mike, having a development plan review as a criterion, as a standard for some of these special use categories, and this one was boat storage.
There is supposed to, I don't know if I gave this to you or not, Jill, there's supposed to be some language on development plan review in the zoning ordinance. And again, it's very just structural, and then all of the implementation happens in the subdivision regs. So if we haven't inserted it in this document here, or anything else, then we need to insert it, because it's got to go in the zoning ordinance.
Where would it go? It wouldn't fall under the development standards for 12.25, for instance.
No, it would be a special section that enables development plan review to occur. And then very, very short and to the point. There is some language in the legislation that we can use.
Okay. Possible section 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jill,
Yes.
absent of pointing out things that we need to make a decision on.
We can go right through
No,
it.
let me finish.
Oh.
So, the board should read all this special use criteria between now and Thursday,
Yes.
so that we're comfortable with it. Okay? And then we can just
Yes.
either do modifications or
Yeah.
bless it. I mean,
Okay.
it's an incredible amount of work that you guys did. What are we missing? No, I mean,
Yeah.
you prioritized residential, then
Yeah, so-
commercial.
There are a few that if we go on, so just 12.26 if I may.
Yeah, sure.
This is transportation, communication, utility. And Rupert, if I'm misspeaking or talking over you, let me know. We added in specific criteria for power generation locations.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll see that.
Okay?
Yep. So I do strongly ask you to read
No, we're
that.
gonna read all of these, the board members, and then
You're
Thursday.
And that's the next few pages, you're gonna see it, and then,
Oh, there it is.
yeah,
Forward
Transmission
development for
towers.
the
power.
transmission towers, right.
Sure.
And there are a couple of highlights that we need to figure out, how we would handle that, if it's development plan review or major land development projects. And they're highlighted,
How
Where
far
are
down
we?
am I now?
probably 4 pages.
Oh, yeah. What's the page that starts all new minor solar energy systems?
We didn't have a cell tower on
No.
We drafted.
No, right here.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm,
What is it?
Yes, that's it.
Development plan review.
right.
What do we need to decide here?
Rupert, where'd you get the cell tower? Where'd you get that one?
South Kingstown. And I actually, yeah, I think that's where I pulled that one from. It's pretty, I edited it because it was a little
Yeah,
convoluted.
did we not get hit with a lot of cell towers because we're not on Route 1, we only got that little stretch?
I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. What do we need to
But it
make
was-
a decision?
It was pretty convoluted, so I
There's
tweaked it.
This was a Rupert comment, I had to omit the comment in order to get it to format correctly, let me see if I have. Rupert, do you have an old, a draft from yesterday even that has your comment
Which
on it?
one is this?
This is the comment that you had, it was to Mike, it was one comment about, how do we do this with development plan review?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the next comment
And I
was see
think,
above.
so I had not reviewed the subdivision regs before, so I didn't know if development plan review was the appropriate thing, and I think it is now that I've read it. And that's, and again, South Kingstown uses development plan review for these things, so I.
So even though it's a minor solar energy system, it would require formal development plan review by the board, not administrative.
Right, because it's still, minor is still like, 40,000 square feet of solar.
You know, which is pretty big, I mean, that's
Yeah.
bigger. What's,
I wonder if we should get out of the minor terminology and come up with something that doesn't confuse it with minor and major subdivision.
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
Limited, something,
I don't know.
Basic,
versus
big,
advanced.
little, no,
what?
big or little, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big,
Tiny, wee?
Is that a legal term, big?
Uh,
That come out of Black's Law?
I mean,
Why don't we say small and large? Why don't we just call them small and large?
I worry about this
Yep.
confusion you'll get by using.
Yeah, no,
simple
I
terminology.
totally agree. I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
Pick your terms, Mike.
well, you know, I try to think like someone who
Jill,
doesn't.
pick your terms.
Not minor or major.
What are the different sizes of coffees you get at Starbucks?
Small, medium,
Yeah.
large.
Yep.
Vente.
We're not doing grandes.
just keep it.
Just keep it. That's what I say. Let's just keep it.
No.
Let's
All
move
right.
on.
Someday someone will
Okay,
come
so
back and say, that was stupid.
the next few pages are additional changes under that power generation. You'll see multiple. If you keep scrolling, you'll find that they're under wind turbines. There are a couple of fill in the blanks that we need to fill in. Keep going, Mike, you'll find it highlighted.
Wish you
Yeah,
could give
yeah,
me some
flicker.
idea where.
The
Just
flicker-
keep going, Terry, until you find the
The
page
yellow
highlighted.
highlight. Page
The
with
yellow highlights. I try to
highlight.
highlight all the issues. Right, there you go.
So the
Oh,
question is,
maximum insurance.
So this is under,
Okay.
yeah, wind energy generation facility, yeah. So I
How
don't
much-
have answers to these.
and flicker is where the sun goes through the prop of a wind turbine and it is hitting a house. So it like has a strobing effect, and I didn't know.
Oh, I know all about this.
So, but how, what level, what's the standard? I have no idea what to use.
How would we judge that?
Well, they do studies.
No, I know, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to set the maximum hours? What? What do the other towns do?
I think this language with the blank for maximum, I think came out of the stuff from the League of Cities and Towns.
Yeah,
Does Coventry have
I think Flickr
other-
is really a concern,
Yeah.
particularly for people who
Well,
are.
let's pick some hours.
I would say 0.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Can you do that?
Yeah, you could say, you cannot have, on the
Not
day,
permitted.
what's the day of the year that has the sun at the lowest?
Yeah, but this is
December
0 hours
20th,
per
December
year.
21st, yeah.
I'm saying, if on the day when the sun is in its lowest declination, you get the longest shadow, right?
Yeah.
So you would use that date. I think it's December 20th.
21st.
The first day of winter.
Okay.
And so the shadow flicker shall not encroach upon any residential structure. We could leave out commercial and industrial.
Yeah.
On December 21st of any given year. Whether it's cloudy or not.
Is that what this thing is asking for?
Why only one day?
Yeah, it's saying not exceed X hours
It's
per
a
year.
standard of measurement. It's not just one day. The lowest, the shadow flicker will extend the furthest horizontal distance on that day. So if it affects a house on that day, it's going to affect
Yeah, so it says Coventry,
everything in between.
during the time of shadow flicker, the wind energy facility shall be shut down to eliminate any shadow flicker issues. The presence of a shadow flicker effect shall be measured at the property boundary lines. Wind energy set it to minimize shadowing or flicker. The applicant has the burden of proving.
So what would we do? Replace this language with that? Because that comes at it from a different angle, right?
Yeah, this is just the special regs, Coventry special regs for wind turbine.
So then it would
That
be
would
0
work.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you turn it
Yeah, it'd
off.
be 0 hours per year, but you would turn it on, yeah, and that's a.
So wind turbine shadow flicker shall not impact on any window of an existing residential structure. located on a parcel owned by an entity other than the parcel.
Yeah, let's
owner
go
of the
with
turbine.
that.
Yeah,
You just take out the hours reference
Yep.
completely.
Yeah, take out the hours reference. All right. And then the next
what about the
page?
surety
Oh, yeah, the
cash?
surety of cash.
Where are we?
The same, right below there,
Oh. Um,
Would that be approved by the solicitor, or would that be approved by the manager?
no, the solicitor usually approves, any form of surety.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be a surety bond, why would you, do we have a special account for cash bonds?
We can accept cash,
Oh, we can.
yes. One of the things that I would wanna have in here is that the surety shall not expire during the period of time that the, wind turbine is under, under usage. Because some surety bonds have an expiration
Oh.
date on them.
we missed above that, at number 9 at the top, and I didn't know what this meant. Wind turbines shall not be climbable to a height of at least X feet. And does that mean you can't reach the bottom rung?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
is-
yeah, that's what it means. The bottom rung has to be so many feet above the ground. Right.
So what number
So
should we
what's
put
the
there?
fee?
I don't know, 10 feet? I don't know. So that means the guy that
I couldn't
maintains
do
it has
chin
to put
ups in
it.
school, so I'm not jumping up to 10 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, but,
There's
How do
likely
you
a
do
s-
that?
well,
Sorry, Joe, I'm sorry.
you get 3 16-year-old kids together and they'll figure it out. Because that's what they do.
Well, shouldn't it be the same as a transmission tower?
Which is what? Do we have a number on that?
I don't think we did.
And I would imagine there's a standard.
That's right.
Yeah, these guys.
There's a
There's a
standard. We just
Let's
don't
find
know
the
what it
standard
is.
and plug it in.
Yeah.
I
I
would
think-
say the standard.
I think the blank came out of the model from the league or something.
So they-
So
cities
there
and
must not have
towns.
been a standard, yeah. yeah.
No, they didn't bother to look for it. All right,
All right, are we going with cash and surety or just surety?
Do cash or?
Cash or surety, yeah.
Okay, so just take out the brackets.
But shouldn't we also put in some language about that the surety shall not expire?
So there,
If not cash,
that might be early.
surety mechanism shall not expire during the period of,
Yeah, surety bond equal to or greater than the life of the
the facility.
facility.
I've had bonds expire. It's not fun.
So I'll look for that, because it may be earlier in that section.
Thank you. Next page.
Hydroelectric. Anything, okay, there's an insert here. Oh, here's another surety thing.
Custody subject to, well, that would,
solicitor, no?
well, either the solicitor or the, who does it?
Bond, counsel?
Yeah, bond counsel. Well, where he's still a solicitor.
That's true.
Yeah,
Solicitor.
yeah, the
Solicitor.
solicitor.
All right, keep moving. Gas substation?
Yeah, where did we get that number for 300 feet?
Made it up. I didn't know it made sense.
For what?
The distance of a gas substation to existing pipes. So like how far new pipe,
Keep it in there.
seemed like a good
Okay.
number.
300, okay? Keep working, Joe.
Section 12.27, development standards for commercial uses. This is where you're gonna see some locations where I just wrote reserved because,
Yeah, and I don't wanna, just so you know, I don't wanna hold this up for things that can be worked on later. I mean,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
guys did unbelievable work here and the priorities are covered.
so just by way of example, standard 3, standards for special use permits for lumber and other building material dealers. outside of where we already referenced that typical paragraph where we reference 4, 7, and 12, I don't know what we would need for lumber yards, if we need bigger fences or any of that.
Let's worry about it later.
Okay,
And I think the fact that we have some criterion at the beginning means they don't get approved by right, so.
right. So the ones that might be interesting to this board in particular are standards for 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah,
Because 6 is a tavern, club, cafe, bar, cocktail. 7 is lunchroom, restaurant with alcohol. And 8 is legal non-conforming
Wait a
for beer
minute,
and wine.
I'm losing you.
It's right, it's the next one, Terry.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So I used some template language. You can see an alcohol control plan for all 3 of them. And then for one of these,
well, the first one has a security plan.
yes, I'm sorry, it has a security plan and an alcohol control plan. I thought the security plan was something that you guys typically require, but is not in the ordinance as of yet, so I plugged that in.
Well, I think the board members will all read that if anybody has
Yep.
a comment.
And then if you'd like it in the other 2, 7 and 8 as well.
And where's the retail marijuana stuff?
It's already in here, so we don't address it.
I don't understand that.
The
Do we need
special use
special
permit
use
standards for marijuana have already been approved.
We already wrote those.
We already wrote them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
It's like section 12.23.
got it. Okay.
Okay. So section 12.28, personal, business, and professional services.
Yep,
So this is where we get back to that use code 60.
yep.
Did we, and where we've struck 60, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that could go.
all right.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
This is gonna be great reading.
And you can go through all of this and tell me what you think.
Yep.
Keep going, page 2, next page.
You get the 1229,
You're
number
gonna
9.
get to 12.29, governmental and institutional. Yep,
And then
So-
hospitals reserved.
yes, Dr. O'Neill, please don't be upset. Hospitals typically, like if you look at South Kingstown, hospitals are major land developments, they require a master plan, it's big. It's bigger than just requiring sewer and parking. And I didn't have we just didn't have the ability to replicate that.
But again, what's the over-under on a hospital coming to Narragansett?
That's where
Less
she's
than
going.
1.
In this day and
In
age,
this
zero.
day and age, right, first of all, there's no land. Secondly, we need less hospitals.
Stay in age 0.
All right,
Way less.
all right.
Even I will.
All right. So then we can leave it as reserved.
Yeah,
And take out, I'm concerned if I added just sewer and state licenses, then that seems like, I'm just gonna leave it as reserved and strike those.
yeah.
Okay,
Don't treat it any different.
so moving on to 12.30, public outdoor and recreational uses.
So, does it make any sense to keep a hospital in there? I mean, is there any probability of a hospital?
Well, it's in our table of use, right?
We could
Should we
make it
strike it from the
prohibited.
table?
Well,
I
we-
wouldn't strike
Or
it.
make it allowed in
If we-
where's it allowed?
No, what, no, we developed a special use laid down the road. Don't we? There's no urgency to it.
We don't know if,
Put
you
it
know,
on-
the
put it
people
on
that
your
own
list.
South Pond Plaza might give up on retail and decide to build a hospital.
Correct.
What do you think, Doc? You're so profitable right now, all of us.
No, but I don't think you take it out. I think you developed a special use criteria later.
We don't know.
Right, it's in our table of use.
Did we think 10 years ago we were gonna have retail marijuana stores? No. So we have to keep that door
I
open.
agree, all right.
That's another great
So
step
Jill,
forward.
12.3.
12.30,
Oh my God.
public outdoor and recreational uses, it's pretty standard, you're gonna look through that.
Let's go.
Number 3 is standards for tent camps.
Yep,
I would recommend we prohibit tent camps in residential zones.
if you could define a 10 can for me.
Rupert can.
What's a 10 can?
Well, so my understanding, you know, so I met somebody who grew up going to where Steve lives in Bonnet, and And they said, and this person said when they were young, the property that's along Route 1A, where it's now Department of Transportation property, it's the only place zoned in town for a view or something like that. Used to be a tent camp.
Wow.
And that their parents were like, don't interact with those people. And she told me this whole history.
Hey, Breakwater Village was a tent camp.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a lot of environmental concerns with tent camps, like sewer,
So
water.
let me go back in our table of use. Do we have it as all special use permits in every zone, or is it,
No,
is it prohibited in most
it's in
zones?
residential. I took out the
Yeah,
references
and they're
because I
minimum
wanted
too.
this to be approvable, so let me just get there.
Yeah.
So is the thought to just eliminate it from the table of use?
Or just make it prohibited.
Just
Because if we
prohibited?
eliminate it and someone comes in and it's not in there, they can.
So
they
it's
make it-
prohibited in all zones?
It's 833.
Yep, it's, so right now it's allowed in R10, R10A and, public.
I would prohibit it. I think, no?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean-
come on, prohibited.
Okay, so then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna prohibit it in the table of use regulations, and I'm gonna remove this section and the standards that I made up for it. Thank you.
And that, right where you go down to the marinas and the next thing, the marinas shall be
Yeah.
subject to the green, I can't read.
I can't read it either. Okay, development plan review.
Ah,
So this was model language that came from LoCat or Rhode Housing, but I highlighted that because I wasn't sure if we needed that. And then I did add in a little bit of language here on D, which I ran by the harbor master today, and he was okay with it.
all right, we'll take a look at those.
Take a look at that, thank you.
Keep going.
Yep, section 12.31, accessory uses, so development standards. So I simply said that all accessory uses associated with a special use permit shall comply with the applicable standards for that special use.
Wow. That's. That's a great.
Can't argue with that.
God, the lawyer ought to love that line.
That's what I'm going with.
12.31.
A,
Uh,
12311A.
Yep.
Shall comply with the applicable standards for that special.
Yeah, this is like a definition out
Yeah.
of Webster's.
Yeah, this is it. This is what makes bureaucrats bureaucrats. No, I mean, you know,
Look,
it's what we are.
12.32,
Galilee.
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 Yes. Take a look at those,
Now,
please.
don't forget that we
Were they
have,
pulled from the ordinance?
don't forget that in the ordinance, we already have design standards in
Yeah.
Galilee. Did you cross-reference that?
I didn't cross-reference them, so we should add that.
It's 4.8.2, I think.
Whoa. You know that?
Yeah.
uh,
It's embarrassing to admit.
And what about, but the dimensional stuff still applies, it's in Galilee, right? The 40-foot hotels,
Yeah.
60-foot hotels or whatever's allowed,
Mhm.
that's still okay.
That might be under that other ordinance for discretionary. I don't know if the changes to that are in there.
I don't think we touched that, did we?
Okay.
I'm sorry, which
The
one?
Galilee dimensions are different.
Um,
I don't know that we touched that
I'll look.
in the discretionary stuff. Just keep, all right, keep moving, Jill.
Okay, so section 10, which is section 22 for noticing, that's all the same.
Yep.
And section 11, the powers and duties, we went over this last time.
Yep.
This is just a cleanup from the changes that occurred in January.
Beautiful. So we have to read these special use criteria, guys, and come back Thursday with any comments we might have.
Yep.
And I think this is where you two really have the most, will resonate what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Because
Yeah,
you've been seeing the applications. so-
Right, but also, these guys know what's right. So, yeah, we'll go through those.
That's interesting.
And amazingly, you guys put together almost all of them right?
I have some holes.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
not
lie.
many, and they're ones that
Yeah, we
we're
don't,
not gonna see for my
Um,
lifetime.
we don't have standards for.
On Thursday, for the subdivision stuff that I showed you guys, all that stuff that's struck out, I'm gonna create a clean document.
Right.
Taking out all that stuff, we've already reviewed it.
So
I'll keep a copy of it for when we go to the town council.
on Thursday, I just wanna make sure, can we, and I want Steve's opinion, can we make a recommendation to the council on the zoning ordinance? The discretionary dimensional stuff, the affordable housing, and the special use criteria.
That's all in the zoning ordinance, it's one big.
Right, but we've been dealing with them as four, and then a fifth document is the subdivision. Can we pass the subdivision without having our public hearing? Can we run this like parallel?
Well, so all
Go
the
ahead.
zoning stuff, we're gonna approve Thursday.
On Thursday?
Send it.
Send it to the
up,
council.
Then they can docket it, schedule it,
Schedule a public hearing and have their public hearing.
do on everything,
Right.
right? And then the subdivision, I mean, we have to advertise it and do all our stuff, but, you know, and then we could run it down. I mean,
But can we,
The point is, can the council, can the town clerk advertise a public hearing for the council on that, as well as the other zoning stuff, for the first meeting in December? If we have not had the public hearing for this.
well, subdivision is separate.
I know, but the question is, if we schedule a public hearing,
Mike, you
Special-
file tomorrow for a public hearing.
right,
You advertise tomorrow. How long do we have to wait?
the advertisement would go in on Friday, and then it would be the Friday after that, and then the Friday after that, so it would be the next week after 3 Fridays from now. Heidi, do you know what that would be?
So,
No, I don't.
You don't have the calendar?
not to jump ahead, but since we've gone over everything, we need to have a public hearing. If there's no input or whatever, we can pass it. It's just how quickly
So
can we get it on the
give
document?
me this,
and
thing, so
pass it?
if you publish it Friday, then we need 3 weeks.
Gotta do it once a week for 3 weeks.
So this Friday is 1?
That would mean I'd have to put the whole ad together before 10 AM tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, so it would be the next,
I think we need a little more time, since we've got plenty of work to do for the
yeah,
Thursdays.
yeah, so next Friday would be week 1,
And that's what day?
and then November 3rd, and
it's
then
the 3rd, the
the
10th,
10th
and
and
the
the
17th.
17th.
Of November.
Yep.
So
the
sometime
Monday
after the
20th.
17th, we could have a public hearing.
Anytime from Monday the 20th on.
And then approve it if everybody's in agreement.
Right.
But we can't officially send it to the council till then.
Right.
Right?
for, OEM zoning or something.
Subdivision.
Talk
No,
about
subdivision.
Yeah.
We have to
So-
wait till then.
So could we, when I was on that Zoom with the league, Kelly Morris was on, and she was encouraging us to do the advertising for these things with just general reference and summary, not doing word for word
Well-
advertising.
You recall, I mean, subdivisions, I definitely think we can do a summary.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it would be the entire paper.
But we can't send it to the council. I'm trying to get my question. We can't send it to the council till we have that meeting after the 3 weeks.
Yeah,
The public.
right.
We can't send it to the council.
Yeah, we won't have an ordinance form until then.
Friday morning, we can send the rest of it to the council.
Correct.
Right.
And they can schedule.
Yeah, so exactly, so Friday morning, all the zoning, those four go to the council, they schedule it. When Mike and Jill think that the subdivision's ready, they'll put it in the paper for the next Friday. I agree with Mike on subdivisions, no one's gonna appeal I mean, it's 90% mandatory anyway.
Right.
If you can save, advertise it in summary form,
Yeah, we've got to
and start the 3 weeks going.
Okay, so let's say we, like around the 23rd or so of
So-
November, that we get it to the council, what can they do? They can't move one step until we give it to them, right? In terms of then they have to notice it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but we have to do ours first.
Right, but
But
they
so-
can't notify, they can't advertise on a parallel track with us.
No.
They can't advertise. in November.
Yeah.
So,
So that's gonna wind up taking us into
so the
January.
week, so the
The
week of,
subdivision.
so the week of
way
November,
around that.
the week of November 20th
It
is
becomes law.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
January,
Say
you know,
not the
in other words,
23rd.
I don't think anyone's sneaking in with something, it's law anyway in January.
From our perspective, the most important thing, I think,
Is
is the discretionary stuff.
discretionary
To
stuff.
get that done before
the
January
zoning,
1. Everything else is,
The compromise.
you
and
default to the state law,
you
right?
default, yeah, and if it comes in.
All right, so
January-
let's, as fast as we can advertise the subdivision, since we have to do it. And hopefully Thursday we come back and vote on those 4 elements. And again, Steve, I think you, or Mike had said, even though we did a package of discretionary items, we don't have to actually see the ordinance. Like where all that's gonna go.
For subdivision.
No, for the discretion, for all the dimensional stuff, because doesn't,
It's all in ordinance form except for the
It's
subdivision.
it's in a form, but is it like the breakwater in a different section than
It's all in
the other
organized,
stuff?
it's all structured.
It's all
Rupert and Jill put all that
Okay.
together.
It's
Yeah.
ready.
Fine, then we'll do it. We'll do it all Thursday. All right?
Are you suggesting then the town council can't get this off the ground?
They can do everything before January 1, and including the discretionary stuff, which is the most important by January 1.
So
They can't do the subdivision, but to Steve and Mike and everybody's point, that's all state law.
Because of our.
We
Does
have
the
to
town
do-
council then have to do for 3 weeks?
I don't know what
I
their,
thought they did.
On top of our 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I don't know what their.
On what, the subdivision?
So,
Yeah.
let me.
Yeah, but
All
not
I
the,
knew was reading it while I was.
Yeah,
getting
no.
ready.
not the other
Yeah,
stuff.
let me check with Janet on that, whether, if we're doing the 3 weeks in the public hearing, whether they need another 3 weeks.
It should be right in subdivision enabling law. Did you
Yeah,
see
but
it?
that says that we have to advertise it
Right.
for 3 weeks and hold a public hearing. Then
Right.
it doesn't, in
I
order
think-
for the town council to adopt it.
I think what it says in the subdivision law is that town council adoption shall follow local standard procedures.
So Steve,
I think that's what the wording is.
when we send them the zoning ordinance with all the dimensional stuff, they can set the public hearing. They don't need 3 weeks for that public hearing.
They might.
Yeah, no, they need to advertise, yeah, once we set it, they advertise for 3 weeks and set the hearing. But don't forget, they don't have to send it back, because it's coming from us. So they get it, they advertise it, they schedule it, and it'll be ready to rock and roll, beginning of December.
And then
First
they have to
hearing.
hold a public hearing and have 2 readings.
Yeah, they could do the first one on
So,
that night.
She
So-
may have to call a special meeting for the public
Maybe,
hearing.
yeah, and maybe at the end, but if not, they might be able to do it anyway. We're on schedule.
All right,
Good.
thanks
Well
to
done.
everyone.
Right.
I know from people I've talked to, you probably know too, Mike, we're ahead of other
Speed ahead.
towns.
Yeah, I think we are.
25 minutes.
That
Um,
doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
I get it, but I just,
Yeah.
I wanna be right, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure every town is adjusting their dimensional stuff. I wanna make sure that gets in there, you know? All right, anything else? I call motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn, whatever. God bless
All those in
America.
favor? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.